Hello and welcome to The Unbelievable Truth. The show mixes a succession of outright lies and exaggerations with a number of completely true facts. So if you can imagine a dinner conversation between Mohammed Al-Fayed and Heather Mills-McCartney, you'll be halfway to understanding it. Please welcome our four guests who are going to mix fact with fiction. They are Phil Jupitus, Tony Hawk, Simon Evans and Alan Davis. The game is a neat blend of pure simplicity and unnecessary complication. Each of the panel will present a short talk on a given subject which should be largely fabricated. However, they've all been provided with a number of true pieces of information which they should try to smuggle past the other players. Points are scored by truths which go unnoticed, while the opponents can win points if they do manage to spot them. We'll begin with Phil. Phil, your subject is bears, defined by my dictionary as mammals whose common characteristics include a large body with stocky legs, a long snout, shaggy hair, paws with 5 non-retractile claws, and a short tail.
Bears are not all known for their fearsome growls. Far from it. The spectacled bear of South America, in fact, emits a kind of low chuckle. The panda bear bleats like a little... hello.
Tony.
I think the spectacled bear of wherever it was does emit a low chuckle.
The spectacled bear of South America.
Do they have bears in South America?
Well, there is in...
Well, they have bears, they have spectacles. I mean, how long could it take for... Even if there is such a spectacled bear, or as you say, Paddington, who's also South American, it doesn't, as far as we know, chuckle. It may, silently find us amusing.
We shouldn't... I don't think we should use Paddington because that's his slave name imposed by his white owners.
That always bothered me, yeah.
I once toyed with the idea of holding what I would call a Peruvian dinner party and serving only marmalade sandwiches. Phil, carry on.
The panda bear bleats like a little goat, and the Kodiak bear clicks at a speed of 1,000th of a second and has a warranty you can extend to 3 years. For many years, it was compulsory for European royal families to keep bears as pets. Tsar Nikolai II in the 19th century had a Russian brown bear that he fed on cake and vodka.
Tony.
I think he did.
If a Russian had a bear, he'd definitely give it vodka.
Yeah.
Let's give it vodka, just to see what happens. And then he wouldn't say anything after he ripped his shred.
I mean, I certainly, if I was an emperor of Russia, would want to see what pretty much any animal looked like pissed.
Yeah.
But apparently not this particular Tsar.
So these are minus points I get if I get the buzzing on wrong.
Yes, unfortunately, both the chuckling of the spectacled bear and the absence of a drunk Russian bear is costing you dear.
Yes.
Phil.
Louis XIV would arrive at Versailles balls with a bear dressed in the manner of his least favourite courtier. And Henry II... Oh, hello.
There's no way you made that up. That's got to be true.
You're just questioning Phil's level of creativity.
Louis XIV?
If you were buzzing just about whether or not Louis XIV existed, he did.
The thing about Louis XIV taking a bear and dressed as his least favourite courtier, I suggest is true.
Well, it isn't. I'm sorry. Phil.
And Henry III imposed a muzzle tax on Londoners for the polar bear he kept in the Tower of London, but only for fishing. Bears are well known in the world of automotive commerce. In 1980, American manufacturers Dodge cancelled the launch of the Grizzly 4x4 after a trade review of the car during off-road trials said simply, shit in the woods. And Edinburgh Zoo... Oh, hello.
Yeah, I bet they did. Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Has Alan been with Tsar Nicholas II? Feeding him vodka and cake?
No, that's not true.
And Edinburgh Zoo got extra funding from German car giants when they named the country's only captive polar bear Mercedes.
Simon.
Well, it's about time I buzzed, I felt, and that was the end of a sentence. So statistically, it gives me as good a chance as anybody else has had so far. I'll say that was true.
Actually, statistically, you really hit the jackpot because yes, it was.
Yeah.
Britain's only polar bear is a female bear kept at Edinburgh Zoo and called Mercedes.
In gay subculture, the plump, giggly men are known as bears, but unlike real bears, they hunt in packs. And like the grizzly bear, Christopher Biggins can't climb trees.
Alan.
The grizzly bear can't climb trees.
Absolutely right.
Yes!
Yeah.
But what's not so clear is whether or not Christopher Biggins can climb trees. But grizzly bears certainly can't.
In the world of law, bears have made their appearances. American hanging judge Roy Bean was known as the Grizzly Judge because of his savage sentencing. Hello.
Tony.
I'm sorry, I know that I'm going to be unpopular until I get one right. I think that the grizzly sentencing thing is a truth.
It's just not.
No.
I'm sorry.
Score is running out of paper.
And a Canadian man was acquitted of murder when he explained to the jury he mistook his lumbering wife for a bear.
Thank you, Phil. So, Phil, at the end of that round, you've managed to smuggle 3 truths past the rest of the panel. Ooh. They are that the panda bear does indeed bleat. You were so close, Tony, with the chuckling of the spectacled bear, but no, the panda bear apparently does bleat.
I think I know why Tony made that mistake, because there really is a spectacled bear of South America, and there was a documentary made about them by Stephen Fry. So you may associate the bear with ma.
The second truth: Henry III did impose a muzzle tax on Londoners.
I knew it.
For the upkeep of a polar bear he was keeping in the Tower of London. Wow. And the third one was that a Canadian man was acquitted of murder when he explained to the jury that he mistook his lumbering wife for a bear. At the end of that round, Phil, you've scored 3 points. There's that silly myth that polar bears don't eat penguins because they can't get the wrappers off. Well, we tested this at Edinburgh Zoo and it's not true. The polar bear gobbled it down in one go, wrapping and all. Something else we learnt was that it's much easier to gift wrap an emperor penguin if you sellotape its wings down first. However, I'd like to assure listeners that no penguin suffered in the making of this programme. It didn't feel a thing. OK, we now turn to Alan Davis. Your subject, Alan, is beards, the hair that typically grows on the chin, cheeks and neck of post-pubescent human males. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Alan.
Beards.
Simon.
That clearly is true.
I think you need a verb for anything to have actually been stated.
He seemed to pause as if to suggest.
I think, to be fair, I won't deduct you a point
Thank you very
for that.
much.
Hillary Clinton will be forced to wear a beard at a Democratic Party fundraiser should she become the first female president of the United States. Traditionally, an incoming Democratic president poses as an untrustworthy Republican by wearing a false beard, before removing it to chants of trust, trust, trust from the assembled Democrats. This is because, due to their misguided notion of virility being associated with facial hair, only Republican presidents have ever had beards.
Tony.
I know I haven't got anything right all evening, but I think that this is in fact true.
Yes, it is absolutely true. Only every US president with a beard has been a Republican. So.
The notion of machismo being connected to facial hair led the Confederate Army in the American Civil War to reject those unable to grow a beard. The US Army prefers macho, hairy food, particularly beef, to feed its troops, and forbade the use of chickens until as recently as 1990. This is where the phrases to beef up and to chicken out originate. The Thanksgiving turkey...
Deviation. Surely he's supposed to be talking about beards.
he is, but it was tangentially related to the beard, wasn't it? But actually, as deviation is allowed, it's an interesting point you make. But not a point you score.
Okay.
But the Thanksgiving turkey was an exception. Poultry farmers tried to breed chickens with beards to sell to the army, as it became widely believed that they accepted turkeys because only turkeys have beards. Women have worn beards to try and join the army.
Phil?
I think that's true.
Well, not as far as we know.
Well, my mother will be crushed. She's currently serving in Afghanistan.
With the Mujahideen.
That's where I was going with that.
Alan.
For years, many women wore false beards in an effort to become geography teachers. Cleopatra, who suffered from anorexia nervosa, wore a false beard to prevent her maids from force-feeding her. It has been widely believed that beards reflected cowardice. Alexander the Great believed bearded men to be afraid to shave.
I think that's right.
Phil.
I think Alexander the Great shunned the beard in men.
That's absolutely right, he did. Although I'll give you the point for that, although the reason is slightly different. He hated beards and banned them in his army under the pretext that they were easy for the enemy to grab hold of.
If a man left his beard growth unchecked for the whole of his lifetime, it would never reach the floor.
Simon.
That I think is true because it's more sort of curly and outward, sort of. It's pubic-y, isn't it? It's its own gravity wouldn't take it down. It would tend to curl upwards, I think, and become matted and
Pubic-y?
puboid, whatever the.
It's sort of, you'd think it would kind of curl up in front of the face.
Yeah, sort of afro style.
A huge.
Unless you applied a heavy set of straightening tongs of some sort, which you probably get from Argos for it, but I think naturally it would just tend to just go skyward.
Unfortunately, as far as we know, and I suppose it is...
You don't know. The fairly thin research that's been done here is denying me a potential point.
No, I don't know why I'm weakening it, because as far as we know, the beard will grow down to the ground. It will not curl up in a weird matted afro in front of the face. It goes straight down to the floor, because gravity acts in the same way on hair as on everything else. So I'm sorry, that's not true.
With a possible maximum beard length of 30 feet in a lifetime, many of the most fanatical beard growers on...
Simon.
Sorry, I think that's probably true then. 30 feet in whatever direction, which will lead to the same thing.
Yes, 30 feet downwards with gravity. So I suppose, strictly speaking, if you are a 30-and-a-half-foot man, then your previous guess was correct. But yes,
that matter is now in the hands of my lawyers. But
yes, that is true. We can potentially grow only 30 feet, apparently, of beard hair in our lifetime. That's sad thought. Anyway, Alan.
And many of the most fanatical beard growers on the subcontinent attempt to coax their beards into towers of hair, known as hair towers.
Thank you, Alan. So, Alan, at the end of that round, you managed to smuggle 2 truths past the panel, and they are that turkeys have beards. The male turkey grows a cluster of long, hair-like feathers from the centre of its chest. This cluster is known as the turkey's beard.
Shut up.
I can't shut up. I'm contractually obliged to carry on. And Cleopatra wore a false beard. So, at the end of that round, Alan, you've scored 2 points.
Bravo!
According to the British Board of Beard Classification, there are 4 basic types of beard. The full, the goatee, the chin strap, and the Countess of Wessex. Right, it's now the turn of Simon Evans. Your subject, Simon, is Queen Victoria, Britain's longest-serving monarch from 1837 until her death in 1901. Fingers on buzzers, the rest of you. Off you go, Simon.
Victoria was born 2 months premature in 1818 in a whorehouse in Vienna, which her parents were visiting as part of a social outreach programme conceived to rebuild continental links after the Napoleonic Wars. At the time of her birth, she was only 5th in line to the throne, but a series of unfortunate accidents in which various members of her immediate family were killed, either by falling church masonry or decapitated by sheet glass, often watched by large black dogs.
Alan.
She was born 2 months premature.
Which you then neatly balanced by buzzing 2 months late.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't know whether I'd have allowed it anyway, but
Oh, really?
Because it was so late. It's like you'd listen to the first 9 things and pick the most plausible.
No,
But,
I just lost interest after a while.
but no, she wasn't.
Oh.
No. Simon.
While, contrary to popular myth, Victoria did in fact regularly complain, "We are not amused," especially during impromptu shows featuring Prince Albert and his pork marionette. It is almost certain that she never uttered the oft-attributed words, "Are you having a laugh?" She was described by Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli as an immensely regal personality. Indeed, when she first encountered the expression "born with a silver spoon in her mouth," used of a courtesan, she understood it to mean that the woman was of a relatively lowly station in life, since she herself only ate her boiled eggs with a golden spoon out of a golden egg cup.
Phil.
Yeah, they're royal. They've got all sorts of gear. They don't shop in Woolworths. They've got gold stuff coming out the wazoo.
Yep, she ate boiled eggs with a golden spoon out of a golden egg cup. That's quite right.
Only recently we've learnt of Victoria's wilder side, far removed from the austere matron we see from her many Mario Testino photo shoots. According to state papers released in 2005, the Archbishop of Canterbury and Lord Palmerston spent 9 hours closeted with the Queen, eventually persuading her not to have a body piercing in response to Prince Albert's. Furthermore, she took cocaine for attacks of melancholy and regularly...
I think Tony was first there.
She definitely took cocaine for some ailment in her life. I remember this. I remember learning this.
No, she didn't. No amount of I remember learning this. That could be a very shabby technique. Oh no, I remember this. So don't mess me around. This is from the remembering part of my brain, not the guessing part of my brain. Sorry, no, I'm afraid that's not true.
I think it is.
Well, you keep your own score.
Brilliant. It's going to be better than the score I'm getting. Yeah.
And regularly eased the discomfort of her menstrual cramps by having her doctor supply her with marijuana.
Phil.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she wasn't a lot more amused then. Oh, on the rag, what a laugh.
Victoria was a much misunderstood woman. Despite being born in England, until the age of 3 she spoke only German, which caused a great deal of confusion as everyone else in the court at that time spoke Welsh. Prince Albert was, of course, not only the great love of Queen Victoria's life, but also in the tradition...
Tony.
Well, Prince Albert was the great love of Victoria's life.
That's absolutely true, and in fact, you're in the middle of a truth, which
Yes.
Simon can now finish. So you will get a point. So.
In the tradition of the crowned heads of Europe, one of her closest male relatives being her first cousin. Indeed, the seeds of their affair is thought to have begun during a sequence of sleepovers initially intended only to give each respective set of parents a decent night's sleep once in a while, rather than establish a pan-European dynasty that would swiftly come to anchor the greatest empire the world has ever seen.
Thank you, Simon. Oh, Alan, are you buzzing to say that I do thank Simon? Genuinely?
I think she spoke German to the age of 3. Yes, too late.
Yeah, I think you are too late. But yes, that was one of the truths that Simon smuggled past. And the other of the 2 truths that Simon smuggled past the panel is that at the time of her birth, she was only 5th in line to the throne. That means, Simon, that at the end of that round, you've scored 2 points.
Thank you.
OK, it's now the turn of Tony Hawks. Tony shot to literary fame with his bestseller, Around Ireland with a Fridge, which he followed up with Round A&E with a Hernia. Your subject, Tony, is tennis, a game played between 2 players or between 2 teams of 2 players in which each player uses a strung racket to strike a hollow rubber ball covered with felt over a net into the opponent's court. Off you go, Tony.
I hate tennis, and despite never having played it in my life, I was runner-up 3 years running in the British Actress Equity Tennis Tournament.
Alan.
Yeah, I bet you were runner-up 3 years ago in the equity tennis tournament.
I know, I think he won.
You're right, Phil, he won it.
He won everything.
You're too modest to say yourself.
I thought it might come up and it would look better this way. So when you won it, you ought to get a decent part or something like that in some TV show, but you never did. You just got a useless little mug.
I don't think that would be a good system of casting, where you play tennis for a role.
You live in far too reasonable a manner.
I think
Come
I
on,
do
he's
as
won
well.
the tennis tournament. Give the chap a bloody roll. He won't learn any lines. He won the tennis.
Just tell the audience how good at tennis he is, and they won't mind his performance at all.
It's the one who won the tennis tournament. Oh, good. I'm glad he's on. He's very, very good at tennis.
To be or not to let.
Right, moving on. Lawn tennis was first marketed as a game called Spheristique and patented by a bloke called Major Walton Clopton Wingfield in 1874.
Simon.
That's a real name.
What, Major Walton Clopton Wingfield?
Yes, that one. Not very funny if it's not real.
Now a very underhanded technique. If that's not true, it's not funny. Fortunately for everyone involved with the programme, that's true. He's a true bloke, and...
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah. And that was where lawn tennis began, apparently.
First marketed, anyway. I think it was probably invented before then.
Right.
The first recorded instance of a court official was in 1906, when Sir William Umpire perched beside the court at Wimbledon Tennis Club and officiated in the role to which he gave his name. Interestingly, he officiated whilst perched on the shoulders of Captain Percival Highchair.
Obviously, those names are funny enough for some.
In an attempt to get in the Guinness Book of Records, tennis was once played on quicksand by Ali Al-Haq and Abdul Fen Uhawa.
Alan.
Do you think those names are funny, Simon? Do you think that's real? I think it's real.
I think it's real, yeah. But slightly racist somehow. I can't really put my finger on it.
It's not real.
No?
And no.
Why is there no quicksand on the telly anymore? Because there used to be a lot when I was growing up.
Yeah.
There was a lot of quicksand, especially in Tarzan. There was quicksand almost every week. And nowadays there's almost never any quicksand. You know where I'd like quicksand? Albert Square for a kick-off.
Channel 5 News are bringing it in next week. Kaplinski's going to go under.
Tarzan would come in and save her. I'd watch that. You'd all watch that.
I'd settle for that sort of bog that sucks you under as well. I think that does just as good a job.
The ones in the airplanes, you mean?
The Grimpenfire.
You don't see that when you flush.
Yeah.
Is that an urban myth that someone had their inside sucked out by one of those?
It's not urban, is it?
Airborne myth.
Airborne.
There's no need for me carrying on my talk.
Tony, carry on.
Sorry. Tim Henman has won Wimbledon 9 times. Stuffing Pete Sampras on every occasion he played it. Tim Henman is an anagram of manly nit. Maria Sharapova is an anagram of grunting bitch. Greg Ruzetsky of rugged kisser.
I think the Tim... I mean, it's possibly phonetic, but I think the Tim Henman anagram stands up, doesn't it?
No.
No, it? Oh, the L.
No, the Greg Ruzetsky one, I think you've got a chance. Work it out.
How much time have they got?
Does that count as a true fact if you do an anagram of a name? Does that count as is that one of his facts? Is that one?
Alan.
Privy to the internal dialogue there, weren't we?
Yes. Greg Ruzetsky is an anagram of rugged kisser.
Yes!
You're quite right.
I like to think I was the John the Baptist to your correct challenge there with my Tim Henman. I set it up and gave you enough time to work it out, really, and I think I should be given 10% at that point.
You were the John. John, you suggest...
for a bit of my point. Are you very competitive?
It's not a very John the Baptist-y attitude to take. I don't think he asked for 10% of being crucified.
The game of tennis has millions of unexpected health benefits. Sitting on a tennis ball for 8 consecutive hours is said to be a cure for hemorrhoids. Sewing a tennis ball in the back of your pyjamas...
Snoring.
No, Alan, if you could just let Tony say it. And then
Sewing a tennis ball in the back of your pyjamas is reckoned to be a cure for snoring.
Alan.
True.
Yes.
Because it makes you roll over.
Presumably because it stops you lying on your back.
Yeah.
The Austrians have had a tradition of entering Wimbledon despite war injuries. In 1922, Fritz Vogel played with shrapnel clearly visible in his head. An Austrian, Hans Riedel, played at Wimbledon for 9 years in a row despite losing an arm in World War II.
Yes, one-armed tennis player. I'm sure there was a one-armed tennis player.
How would he serve?
Well, you're absolutely right. There was, and it was him, and he served by tossing the ball up in the air with his racket. Yes. So it's sort of going, wee.
Well, that's basically
that's
cheating.
lost on people listening at home, I realise. But what I've done is basically mime what I explained. So.
People listening on Freeview, press red button now.
The old steel rackets were actually made of aluminium, not steel, and the catgut used for strings is actually sheep's gut.
Simon.
That's true.
Yes, it is true.
The gut.
Yeah,
that's absolutely true. But that's the end of Tony's lecture. And so, Tony, at the end of that round, you've managed to smuggle no truths past the rest of the panel. And yes, you've scored, therefore, 0. In 1985, Boris Becker became the first player to win Wimbledon when unseeded. In the year 2000, Becker was again unseeded, this time in a broom cupboard by a Russian model. Which brings us to the final scores. In 4th place, with -6 points, it's Tony Hawks. In In third place, with a very creditable naught, it's Alan Davis. But the joint winners in first equal place are Phil and Simon with 4 points each. That's about it for this week. All that remains is for me to thank our guests. Hello and welcome to The Unbelievable Truth, the panel game about truth and lies. This is where we take a small number of facts and conceal them in a large number of inaccuracies under a healthy dollop of fabrication. Joining me, please welcome our 4 guests, who are Lucy Porter, Michael McIntyre, Fred Macaulay and Graham Garden. Each panellist will take it in turn to present a short and largely inaccurate lecture on a given subject. Each has come along equipped with some unlikely but completely true information which they should try to hide in amongst their lies. Successfully slipping in unnoticed true facts scores points, as does the spotting of them. We'll begin with Michael McIntyre. Michael has been described by the London Evening Standard as a punchline away from stardom. Seems a bit of a crucial omission for a comedian.
That was 6 years ago as well.
Oh, really?
And I've
How's
had a
it
lot
coming
of
up?
work since.
Yeah.
Close,
Yeah.
close, very
Excellent.
close.
Michael, your subject is the toilet, otherwise known as lavatory or loo, which according to my dictionary is a plumbing fixture primarily intended for the disposal of bodily wastes. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Michael.
Right, this is on the toilet.
That's it. Maybe your stardom punchline will be somewhere concealed within.
Stop it! Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness. Now, this subject was given to me, okay? And I know talking about the toilet might make people want to go.
Great.
That's a fact.
I haven't started. I haven't started.
I think
I haven't started.
I'm going to give you the benefit of the
I'm gonna
doubt,
start
Michael,
now.
because I
I'm gonna
believe
start.
you haven't started. Are you going to start?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's start with some statistics. Since the emergence of the mobile phone, 60% of people now use phone boxes to urinate. 30% still use them to make calls, and the remaining 10% make calls whilst peeing. The average person spends 3 years of their life on the loo, whereas John Prescott spent 10 years standing over it.
Lucy.
I think that it's true that we spend 3 years of our life on the toilet.
It is absolutely true, yes. I mean, it sort of stands to reason, really.
The format works.
Now for the punchline.
Using the toilet is such a private concern that nobody really knows what other people really do in there.
Graham.
That's true.
I think in general we know what other people do in there. You might not know the specifics of every act committed in every toilet, but I don't think he'd really implied that. And at this point I should point out that you do lose points for incorrect challenges such as
So
that.
I lose a point.
I'm afraid so, Graham, which means you have less than no points. But, you know, some people finish the game with less than no points, which reminds us all about the terrible imbalances of wealth in the world. It always gets a laugh, the thought of that. If you're feeling miserable, think how poor some people are. It's quite rainy today, not like Bangladesh. Michael.
Using the toilet is such a private concern that nobody really knows what other people are really doing in there. A recent survey revealed surprising errors in technique. For example, it was discovered a family in Cornwall have for generations been sitting the wrong way round facing the system. When told of their blunder, they issued a statement simply reading, "We don't care, always more comfy." The French have long considered toilet water a delicacy and still drink it on special occasions. It was originally drunk to improve their breath.
Fred.
I think the toilet water could be considered a delicacy by the French, eau de toilette.
I don't know. I wouldn't say a delicacy. I mean, I think eau de toilette obviously is sort of basically perfume, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's not actually water from a lavatory. And a delicacy is not something that makes you considered delicate. But TB is something that makes you considered delicate.
It was considered a great honour in France to be showered by somebody's toilet water. If a woman was attracted to a male passerby, she would flag up her interest by throwing a bucket of toilet water on his head. In fact, our word for loo is taken from the French phrase gardez-le.
Graham.
This is a theory, yes. True.
Yes, that is true. Yes, from the French phrase gardez-le, which was shouted as people emptied their chamber pots into the street. So well done, Graham.
That's it.
But you
Very clever, but puts you on 0. The Women's Loo, a world closed to man, is a place where the users have developed fantastic skills. In a survey, it was discovered that 91% of 30,000 British women won't sit properly on public toilets, but instead adopt a semi-sitting squatting position.
Lucy.
And I hate every single one of them. It's a very annoying thing. Yes, they do.
So you're in the 9%.
I think I am.
That is absolutely true.
I am.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I just don't know how you have the thigh muscles to do that. Because often also in a public ladies' lavatory, the lock is broken as well, so you have to, you use one leg to keep it shut, and then some kind of weird yogis who are managing to do this thing.
It is perfectly safe to sit on a ladies' lavatory because nobody else does.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're causing the very problem they're reacting to.
Well, exactly. See, if people would just sit down.
Yeah, but people won't. So essentially, the 9% of you who don't shouldn't be.
Although according to Fred Macaulay, that now makes the back of my thighs a delicacy, of course.
Yeah.
Lucy, as are the front.
Yeah. That's a sort of disgusting way of being suave. I'm James Bond, but with very earthy vocabulary.
Was the hopper peeing true or not? That 93% did or
Yes.
didn't?
Yeah, that was true.
Got a
Yes.
point for that.
Yeah, you were right there. I think I said you were right.
Listen,
Right.
the points are all totted up. It's all being recorded. You won't go without.
I am quite competitive, that's why. If there was a competition for weeing standing up, I'd be in it.
Right.
You have some stiff competition from us three.
Well, that had everything. Michael.
Carriage pots were often placed under the seats of 19th century carriages. A woman could lift the seat cushion, sit down on the open board below, and shielded by her wide hoop skirt, relieve herself as the coach rattled through.
Definitely true.
Rattled through a crowded street. Yes, quite right. That's totally true.
Right. Hoop skirts were so large in those days that women of exceptional wealth would always have at least one dwarf working full-time within. His primary duties being to change chamber pots, sweep the ground she walked on, and whisper the answers to pub quiz questions. I'm sure everyone listening will have experienced that horror scenario when you complete your business aboard the bog, only to discover there is no toilet roll.
Lucy.
Sorry, I think it is true that everyone listening will have experienced the hot sinking moment.
I think everyone will as well. No one is so organised as always to check.
But there's a degree of ambiguity, so,
yes, I get a point.
There must be someone.
Do you think so?
Yes.
I don't.
Yeah, all right. This heart-sinking moment needs a clear head as you consider your options, frantically looking around for a substitute, or waddle walking to where it is kept.
That's the laughter of people who have waddled.
We have some in. There was a time when the whole world faced this dilemma. Before the invention of toilet paper, the following were used in its place. A mussel shell called a scraper. The Romans used a stick with a sponge on one end. In the desert, sand was the cleaner of choice.
Fred.
I think I'd like to say that the mussel scraper is true.
Yes, it is true. Yes.
You couldn't make it up, could you?
As is the Roman using a stick with a sponge on the end, and the desert sand, and one more thing, Michael, you were going to say, weren't you?
Yeah, in the American South, corn cobs were sometimes used, often being reunited with the sweet corn.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. And at the end of that round, Mike, I'm afraid you've managed to smuggle no truths past the rest of the panel, which means you've scored no points. Hey.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah. What would the world be like, I wonder, without modern hygienic flush toilets? It would be like France. Okay, we turn now to Fred Macaulay. Your subject, Fred, is cows or cattle, domesticated ungulates, commonly raised for meat, dairy products and leather. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Fred.
In this topsy-turvy world we live in, with city zoos and city farms, a new type of cows has developed called city cows, most often seen in financial centres like Zurich. Not working, of course. That would be ridiculous. More like...
Graham.
That would be ridiculous.
But it's true. Okay, you can have a point for that, I think.
Not seen working, of course, but hanging around in wine bars and lap dancing bars, usually in groups of 12 or more, mirroring their countryside cousins where a dozen cows or more, or a flink of cows as they're called, would hang around together, but probably not attracting as much attention. I should say that this is not because of any suffering from BSE or bovine SpongeBob SquarePants. The rich tea tract, Jaffa cake tract, digestive tract, I am really sorry, of cows can be a mysterious enough area for the layman, but as part of a balanced diet, some cows are fed magnets. But not as you might expect to speed up the attachment of the metal milking machines. It actually lessens the damage caused to the cows by the bits of wire, nails, and other pieces of metal which they regularly swallow. Thank God, I thought it was in just a minute.
Lucy.
Yeah, I can imagine they eat a lot of metal. And
You- so
why
you think
not
you-
send a magnet in after the metal?
That's absolutely true. That magnets are fed to cows to sort of so any metal they swallow sort of.
Presumably, so the magnet goes in, but then the magnet's got to come out with a load of metal attached to it.
But it shows you if you want to steal magnets, then looking in cow pats is not as stupid a place to start as you might originally have thought. Carry on.
Thanks. The digestive tract, as I mentioned, is only one of the cow's organs which can be used in a recyclable manner, as the steamed organs of cattle power trains in Sweden, which is handy if you want to escape from the smell of steamed cow organs. Oh, we don't like the smell of the steamy organs, as the cows might say in their Swedish accent. Because researchers have discovered that cows do indeed have regional accents. The meaty... Graham.
I think there is some truth in that. I think cows do moo differently in different parts of the country.
They do indeed, yes. Cows genuinely have regional moos. So, yeah.
And now the regional moos from your area.
I love regional moves. Why are you groaning at that? I'll kill for that.
Take that as your punchline.
Can I have it? I love it.
The meaty byproduct of rearing cows needs to be dried out, and after slaughter it's kept in a room called the gallows, where it's hung to make it nice and dry. It's not hung in the way we associate with despots and dictators being hung, as the last cow to be hanged was in Paris in 1740, after it was convicted in a French court for sorcery. And even the French have moved on from that.
Lucy.
Always worth a punt at mad people prosecuting animals.
Yes, well, in this case, it's definitely worth a punt, because that's absolutely true. Yes, the last time a live cow was judicially hanged in public was in Paris in 1740, and the sentence was carried out following the cow's conviction for sorcery. So, well done for spotting that, the French, I'd say, because you can get into terrible trouble with those magic cows. They'll take over your banking business as soon as look at you. And that's the end of Fred's bit.
It's the end of cows.
And in that round, Fred, you managed to smuggle 2 truths past the rest of the panel, and they are that a group of 12 or more cows is known as a flink, and that in Sweden there's a train that runs on methane, which is collected from cows, not from their burps or farts. Apparently it's their burps that are methane, not their farts, I didn't know that, but from their stewed organs. The stewed organs of one cow will get the train about 2 miles along the tracks, and presumably there's quite a delicious smell as well. So that means, Fred, you've scored 2 points. Right, it's now the turn of Graham Garden. Your subject, Graham, is the sandwich, a food item made of 2 or more slices of leavened bread with 1 or more layers of filling, typically meat or cheese. Fingers on buzzers, the rest of you. Off you go, Graham.
Now, the word sandwich comes to us from the Sandwich Islands. When Captain James Cook put into the Sandwich Islands to pick up supplies, the islanders offered him pork served between 2 slices of breadfruit. He took a supply of this back to his ship and personally prepared his crew's dinner. And that's how we get the word to cook. And today it's estimated that Americans eat well over 300 million sandwiches each day.
Michael.
It sounds like a statistic that is correct, that Americans eat all those sandwiches each day.
Over 300 million sandwiches.
Yeah. Is that each American?
That's actually surprisingly in total. Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
all right.
But,
well, I'm still going for it.
Yes, no, that is true, and that's more than 1 each. So some Americans are having 2 sandwiches for lunch. And crucially...
You'd never know, would you?
No. And crucially, no Americans aren't having sandwiches for lunch. I think that's a safe inference from that statistic. So I think all Americans have sandwiches for lunch. It's a cultural thing. That's all they have. So well done.
Now, here's a tip. If you happen to be thinking of making yourself a Stilton cheese sandwich, research at Bristol University has shown that the ideal amount is a slice exactly 3 millimetres thick. There are 3 basic types of sandwich.
Fred.
I'm going to go for the 3 millimetres of Stilton.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Research at Bristol University has shown...
Well done, Bristol.
I mean...
You leave the diabetes and malaria to the other places.
Somebody at Bristol University is being paid to work out the perfect amount of Stilton for a sandwich, so that no one needs to use their own judgment or taste or decide for themselves. Presumably, you know how cheddars, they're sort of, when you buy cheddar in the supermarket, the maturity of the cheddar is sort of graded from 1 to 5. They could work out a formula that it's sort of X times the maturity grade of the cheddar millimetres. For cheddar, because it would be more, you'd want it thicker for a milder cheddar, wouldn't you?
Well, don't give it away, you get a grant for that.
I think we should do something to get to food. I think that is a good idea. I think that, we are fat, and that if there was some kind of physical challenge in the supermarket for each item...
Maybe...
Like sort of gladiator.
Yes, that's exactly how I see it.
Or maybe the meat should still be alive.
That solves the problem.
Yes, because apparently that was a way humans used to get exercise.
It worked very well.
Yeah.
There wasn't really an obesity problem back then.
No.
With the hunter-gatherer.
There was a starvation problem, of course. Although there's a starvation problem in the world now. But also an obesity problem, which is a wonderful state of affairs to have got to.
I like the gladiator thing. They could have those big, what are those earbud things?
Yeah.
And the
Johnson's baby thing.
That's it.
Right, yeah.
The people at checkout should have one of those and fight you off.
I think...
You can actually run along the conveyor belt like...
And you can have that Scottish guy. Shopper ready. It'd be fantastic.
Right.
In New York, the Street Victuals Act of 1990 allowed ingenious vendors to sell lumps of hot meat served between 2 bread slices to prevent their customers seeing what they were eating. And now this idea had first been tried out by 15-year-old Charles Nagreen in 1885 at the county fair in Seymour, Wisconsin. And the unidentified hot meat sandwich didn't immediately catch on, but word of it reached Hamburg, which at the time was suffering from a plague of rats. And the rest is history.
Michael.
I think the initial thing about the smuggling the hot meat in the sandwich is a truth.
In New York, the Street Victuals Act of 1990 allowed vendors to sell lumps of hot meat served between 2 bread slices to prevent their customers seeing what they were eating. That bit?
Correct.
No, that's...
Oh, I lose a point now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Great.
In 1939, when President Franklin D. Roosevelt and his wife Eleanor wanted to introduce something truly American to the visiting King George VI of England and his Queen, he served the royal guests hot dogs. The royals were...
Lucy.
Yeah, what a horrible thing to do to anyone, but I bet they did.
Yes, they did. That's absolutely true. They probably just wanted to humiliate them. It was sort of... He hated George VI, Franklin Roosevelt. Possibly.
Well, the royals were so impressed with this tasty item that during the Blitz, the Queen would often tour the East End of London, distributing the sausage in a bat treats, referred to locally as Windsor corgis. The present Earl of Sandwich tells me that his son Orlando helps to run the Earl of Sandwich sandwich bar at Disney World in Orlando, Florida.
Thank you, Graham.
Yeah.
So, Graham, at the end of that round, you managed to smuggle 2 truths past the rest of the panel, which are that the idea of serving hot meat between 2 bread slices had first been tried out by 15-year-old Charles Nagreen in 1885 at the county fair in Seymour, Wisconsin. He became known as Hamburger Charlie. And the other truth is that, I believe, a friend of Graham, is that right? Your friend, the Earl of Sandwich, you know the current Earl of Sandwich, did indeed tell Graham that his son Orlando helped run the Earl of Sandwich sandwich bar at Disney World in Orlando. Which means, Graham, that you scored 2 points. The village of Sandwich in Kent is just 3 miles from the village of Ham. Visitors wishing to be amused can visit the spot halfway between the two, where there's the hilarious sign that reads, "Road closed for gas main repair." The largest sandwich ever made measured 12 square feet and weighed nearly 7,000 pounds, but was probably even bigger before John Prescott threw it up. Okay. Oh, poor old John Prescott. He's a bulimic, but a lazy bulimic. He didn't always get around to being sick.
I think it was
Okay.
I think I spoke to a doctor who I know, who said it was Munchausen's bulimia by proxy. He did all the eating and other people were sick around him.
It's now the turn of Lucy Porter. Your subject, Lucy, is giraffes, African even-toed ungulate mammals, and the tallest of all land-living animal species. Off you go, Lucy.
The giraffe only moved onto land about 1 million years ago. It was originally an aquatic mammal and developed its long neck so that while swimming it wouldn't get its hair wet. Giraffes are regarded as the gayest animal in the zoo. Geoffrey, the Toys R Us giraffe, is the only out-gay animated brand representative, apart from Pop out of Snap, Crackle and Pop. Male giraffes frequently caress and court each other, leading up to mounting and climax. Female giraffes also indulge in lesbian acts, but this often results in whiplash.
Fred,
It just felt like time for a fact.
would you like to plump for something?
Yeah, I'll plump for the 2 male giraffes, please.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Male giraffes frequently caress and court each other. I think there is a related fact that male giraffes actually do more business with each
Yes,
other
they do.
than they do with female giraffes.
Something like 98% of giraffe sexual relations are man on man.
That'll be giraffe on giraffe, I think. If it's man on man, they probably just borrowed a giraffe suit from a party shop.
Giraffes have no vocal cords. They communicate by sucking air in and out of their anuses to produce a low moaning sound.
Don't we all?
A giraffe's anus can produce up to 6 different tones. In Malawi, a recording of this giraffe music stayed at the top of the charts for 7 months until it was knocked off the #1 spot by Hootie and the Blowfish. Giraffe tails are used as currency in some societies.
Graham.
I think it is used as currency.
It is, yes. Well done.
When they toss up at the beginning of a football match, it always comes up tails.
A giraffe's height is a constant danger to it in captivity. Of all the animals in the zoo, it's generally the giraffes that get struck by lightning. The giraffes in London Zoo all wear tiny rubber slippers to counter this threat. During the winter, they also wear scarves at night. These are made by the London Zoo Giraffe Staff Society, which has over 300 members. I know, it's sweet. When giraffes were first exhibited at Bristol Zoo in the 1850s, children were allowed to use the animals' long necks as part of a ring toss game. The zookeepers hadn't realised that not only is the blow from an adult giraffe's neck so strong it can fell a small tree, but its kick is so powerful that it can decapitate a lion.
Michael.
I think that kicking is true. They can decapitate lions. They really kick hard.
Yes, they can. That's absolutely true.
Yes.
Well done. Yeah. I would love to see footage of a giraffe. It must be on YouTube somewhere.
It would be a YouTube
giraffe literally kicking a lion's head off.
There you go.
Lucy.
Yeah. The zookeepers didn't realise... Oh, I've done that. This kick is so powerful it can decapitate a lion. You might get a lot of points this way.
I think that whole kicking of the head thing.
No, we got into a time loop last week. We only finished 5 minutes before we started today.
The zoo called a halt to other fun games, such as pin the actual tail on the actual donkey and lion's mouth brand tub.
Thank you, Lucy. So, Lucy, you managed to smuggle 2 truths past the rest of the panel, and they are that giraffes have no vocal cords, and a danger to giraffes in captivity is that they're typically the tallest objects in a zoo, and they're at increased risk of being struck by lightning. Again, I'd quite like to see footage of that. Maybe straight after it had kicked the head off a lion. So that means, Lucy, that you've scored 2 points. Interesting fact, the giraffe used to be called the camel leopard because it looked a bit like a camel and a bit like a leopard, much in the same way that the zebra used to be called the pedestrian crossing horse. The distinctive pattern of the giraffe's coat is believed to be a form of camouflage, evolving from the giraffe's habit of hiding on crazy paving. Which brings us to the final scores. In 4th place, with 1 point, it's Michael McIntyre. In 3rd place, with 3 points, it's Fred Macaulay. In 2nd place, with 5 points, it's Graham Garden. And in 1st place, with an unassailable 7 points, it's this week's winner, Lucy Porter. That's about it for this week. All that remains is for me to thank our... Hello and welcome to The Unbelievable Truth. This is the panel game that combines stimulating intellectual debate with a healthy dose of madcap silliness, a sort of cross between the moral maze and the crankies, the intellectual debate of the crankies and the madcap silliness of the moral maze. Please welcome our 4 guests who are going to mix a few unlikely truths with a catalogue of fabrication. They are Adam Buxton, Lee Mack, Ed Byrne and Tim Vine. The game is a neat blend of pure simplicity and unnecessary complication. Each of the panel will present a short talk on a given subject which should be largely fabricated. However, they've all been provided with a number of true pieces of information which they should try to smuggle past the other players. Points are scored by truths which go unnoticed, while the opponents can win points if they do manage to spot them. We'll begin with Tim Vine. Tim was the first male TV presenter to appear on Channel 5 on their launch night. Sadly, his audience figure halved during the commercial break when his mum went out to make his dad a cup of tea. Tim, your subject is hedgehogs, defined by my dictionary as small spiny mammals commonly found through parts of Europe, Asia, Africa and New Zealand. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Tim.
The hedgehog is a distant relative of the woodlouse, both using the same defence system. But how did it come to be called the hedgehog? Well, many people believe it is because of its shuffling, pig-like demeanour, but this is wrong. It is, in fact, because if you cook a hedgehog, it tastes like pork.
Lee.
I think that might be true, actually, because it would taste meaty, at the very least, and it wouldn't be too much to stretch that to porky.
Apparently it does taste exactly like pork, that is true. So well done. And apparently the traditional way to cook a hedgehog is to bake it in clay, and then, so when you take it out, then you smash the clay and all the spikes come out in the clay. And the dish is called Hotchi Witchy. And it tastes like pork. So why would you bother? Because pigs don't have spines on them and are much bigger. Well done.
It's not so easy to capture.
Yeah, you don't really have pigs living wild in your garden. Unless you're a particularly careless pig farmer.
You'd get such tiny rashers of hedgehog bacon, though. It would hardly be worth the effort.
Hedgehog is the national dish of Vanuatu. Another fallacy about hedgehogs is that they are...
Go on, I'll jump in on the national dish notion.
Dangle the true fact on its own out there.
Well, he hasn't done that.
No.
The hedgehog is not the national dish of Vanuatu.
Is Vanuatu even a nation, technically?
I wish you hadn't asked me that.
Oh, yeah. Not so smart when it's not written down in black and white in front of you.
No, I'm not. And at this point, I should remind everyone that you do lose a point for an incorrect guess.
Another fallacy about hedgehogs is that they are shy. This is nonsense. Fair enough, in a certain company they can be a bit prickly. But a fascinating study was done in Torquay from 1993 to 1997, the most extensive hedgehog behavioural study ever done in this country. The study noticed that when a group of 15 or more adults were together, one hedgehog would appear to separate himself from the group and address the others. The lone hog would make some little hedgehog noises and then pause. Then the group of 15 hedgehogs would make a strange noise together, a sort of... Eventually, this lone hedgehog would finish and one of the other hedgehogs would come forward and appear to wrap up proceedings.
I think that could be true.
What precisely?
That final result of the survey, that one would go forward and do that thing he said at the end.
Wrap up the proceedings.
That at the end of the proceedings, a lone hedgehog would come and wrap up.
Not wraps up. I don't think he said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, please come again soon, and don't go any near bonfires or clay. I don't think he had a catchphrase, but I think there's a chance that in his own hedgehog way he could walk to the front, just slightly, clean his own genitals with his tongue, and that is a hedgehog way of saying, that's it, lads, time to go home.
Yeah, well, he didn't.
It's not.
You know they deduct a point every time you get one wrong.
Hedgehogs have a tummy button that is identical to a human's.
Ed? Yeah, they do. No, they don't.
Yeah.
They might.
Obviously, really.
They also have fingerprints which are closer to humans than any other animal. Many's the time a hedgehog has been falsely accused of a human burglary.
Lee?
I think that could be true, because I think that they set off alarms if they come in your house, don't they? They go through the cat flap and the alarm goes off. Why doesn't the cat set off the alarm? I realise the stupidity of my argument. Don't worry, David, I know the answer.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Hedgehogs have a very low self-image, and so they wash by spitting on themselves.
Adam?
Surely they wash by spitting on themselves. There's got to be a fact in there somewhere that's true.
Yes, indeed, they wash by spitting on themselves.
Thank you.
It's called self-anointing.
I do that a little bit.
No, you don't, because it's something only hedgehogs do. What they do is they lick or nibble on something, which you may do, but it goes further than this. Then they make a foamy paste in their mouths.
Yeah,
and then spread it with their long tongues.
Yeah.
Still true? In little spots.
Right.
On their quills.
There you go. Haven't done your research.
Johnny Morris doing a sex chat like
Right, well, apparently hedgehogs and Adam.
Thank you.
They also have the ability to tiptoe. This is one reason why they're so hard.
I was thinking that could be true, because that would help them do the burglaries, but it wasn't true, was it? I do think that
they could tiptoe. It's not
they might walk
Beatrix
on their
Potter.
toes, and we refer to it as tiptoeing, when actually they're just walking on their toes. That's what they like to do.
Well, tiptoeing means that they walk ordinarily and then do something different. Not that they tiptoe all the time. If someone tiptoes all the time, that's the way they walk.
Even Tim, who's trying to get away with the lies, is
helping Lee.
You buzzed in.
That's true, isn't it?
I can't believe you, mate. You believe what I just made up.
Yeah, and don't forget, you said that they had the same belly buttons as humans.
Yeah, but
so
he wasn't even amazed by that.
So you're very careful what you're
Their skin is very, very tough. If you run over a hedgehog, his entrails will fly out of his mouth and his bum.
Lee?
I think that could be true.
What?
The bit about the entrails coming out of the mouth and the bum. Because if it's a little bit of a tough skin, it would be the natural place to go flying out of. They're not that tough, are they? They're really not. They're just going to splatter.
No, that is absolutely true.
Yes!
The fleas on a hedgehog are very important. This is because they produce a constant tickling sensation which keeps the hedgehog awake while he's eating. If you remove them, the hedgehog will die. If you want to scare a hedgehog, tell him the nit nurse is coming.
And that's the end of Tim's bit. So, Tim, at the end of that round, you've managed to smuggle 2 truths past the rest of the panel, and they are that hedgehogs have fingerprints which are closer to humans' fingerprints than any other animal.
Well, why don't they get caught with all these burglaries?
I...
Oh, there's no burglaries. There's no burglaries.
Because they tiptoe.
Oh, that's right.
The other truth is that if you remove a hedgehog's fleas, the hedgehog will die. And I don't know why.
Just of loneliness.
I'm telling you it's not true, and I should know because I'm an expert on fleas.
No, you're not. Don't say in an authoritative way that things that for the purposes of the game we need to establish as true aren't true. That's very undermining.
Well,
it's just like saying none of this matters. We're all just using up time.
That is true.
Yeah.
None of this is.
Anyway, that means at the end of that round, Tim, you've scored 2 points. Okay, we turn now to Adam Buxton. Your subject, Adam, is hair, a filamentous outgrowth from the skin found mainly in mammals. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Adam.
Hair is the only physical trait that is common to every single living species on the planet, and it turns up in the most unlikely places. For example, gerbils have teeth made from compacted hair. Honeybees have hair on their eyes, and Julia Roberts is not only famous for her tufty armpit wigs, but is well known amongst Hollywood's makeup artists for having very hairy feet.
Sorry for letting it run on there, but I believe that honeybees have hair on their eyes.
You're absolutely right. Adam, carry on.
Julia Roberts is well known amongst Hollywood's makeup artists for having very hairy feet, earning her the nickname Julia Hobbits. Okay. If you were a long-haired male in America before the 1960s, you would have been considered so grotesque and abnormal that you wouldn't have been allowed to use a public toilet, eat at McDonald's, enter Disneyland, vote, or even receive treatment for life-threatening illnesses.
Tim?
I think possibly you were not allowed to enter Disneyland if you had too much hair.
You're absolutely right, you weren't.
In an average lifetime, a person will grow 2 meters of nostril hair from each follicle in the nose.
Ed?
I'll go with that. 2 meters of nostril hair, that sounds about right in a lifetime.
Yep, it's about right. Yep, that's true.
It's not within I mean, you grow more at a certain stage than other times, don't you? So the first half of your life, there isn't really much nostril hair to speak of, and then it accelerates, doesn't it?
Yes, it accelerates, but you still get 2 meters in a whole lifetime. So, but what you're saying is, don't worry if you're sort of only in your early 30s and you say, I've only grown like a foot and a half. It's true. It will. Give it time, it will come. You'll be able to watch it grow by the time you're in your 90s.
But also, David, you must point out that if you're in your early 30s and you've been keeping track and you have grown 2 meters, it doesn't mean you're going to die.
I don't want to frighten anyone, but it does.
The Oxford Dictionary lists not just 1, but 14 different words meaning hirsute of the buttock, or hairy-bottomed.
Oh. I buzzed a bit too early there. I thought they might have had 14 different words that meant hairy or hirsute, but I don't think there's 14 that mean hairy arse.
Okay, would you like to withdraw your buzz?
Yeah, am I allowed to withdraw my buzz as a premature buzz?
I'm going to let you withdraw your buzz.
I appreciate that.
I hope the pity... No, because you haven't been nearly as a little bit of civility doesn't hurt. And the sooner you learn that, Lee, the better. Adam.
Some of these 14 words meaning hairy-bottomed include luxuriated, lacy-rumptious, folly-cushioned, daisy-pie-gal, Johnny Hairy-bum, and botty-wig. Natural hair style is determined by the shape of the hair follicle. Natural hair?
That is true. The curliness of hair is determined by the shape of the hair follicle.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Yes. Straight hair comes from circular follicles, wavy hair comes from oval follicles. Adam, at the end of that round, you've managed to smuggle one truth past the rest of the panel, and that is that the word, that you pronounce it as daisy pie gal.
Well, I pronounce it as, I imagine it's pronounced...
Decipical?
Decipical?
I don't know.
D-A-S-Y...
Well,
anyway.
we would have had a chance if you'd not made it sound like a cartoon character from Beano.
Well, exactly.
Daisy Pie
That's allowed, though, isn't it?
I certainly don't know that it's not pronounced daisy pie gal, and he only got one past the rest of you, so cut him a bit of slack, rudely.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a real word, and it does mean hairy buttocked. But there aren't 13 other words for hairy buttocked in the OED. There should be, really. Let's take out some of those computer terms. So that means at the end of that round, you've scored 1 point. Men wishing to know whether they're going to suffer baldness in later life should look at their grandfathers. I'm all right, because happily for me, both my grandfathers had full, luxuriant heads of hair when they died aged 19 in a mining disaster. Right, it's now the turn of Ed Byrne. Ed is the stand-up comedian and actor who is also the voice of the Carphone Warehouse. Luckily, we get Ed free for 30 minutes each month. Your subject, Ed, is kissing, or the touching of one person's lips to another place, which is used as an expression of affection, or to show respect, or as a greeting or farewell.
And you've definitely worked on a sex line, yeah?
Yes. Fingers on buzzers, the rest of you, off you go, Ed.
Although considered to be purely an expression of affection, anthropologists now believe that kissing started off as a means of communication. Before verbal communication was perfected, early Homo sapiens used kissing as a way of describing their recent travels. The length of kiss described how far they had come, the amount of tongue used would give an indication of the conditions underfoot, and biting of the recipient's lips meant that the traffic was awful. In the Middle Ages, kissing was declared a mortal sin by the Catholic Church, but then so was looking at the sky during daylight hours, walking in a straight line for more than 10 feet, and using tablecloths. So nobody took much notice of the kissing rule. The Romans had different terms to classify different kisses. Osculum was a peck on the cheek.
Lee.
I've kissed a Roman soldier, and know that to be true.
That is true. But... Well, they had...
Fancy press party, 1986.
But it was a real Roman soldier.
Well, I didn't ask. I was
No,
just
it would be...
trying to get off with it.
Yes, osculum was a peck on the cheek, basium a more amorous kiss, and the Roman for snog was saviolum. But you know that, obviously.
Oh no, I didn't go to base too.
All right.
Hey, not a slag.
Well, as I was going to say, osculum was a peck on the cheek, basium a more amorous kiss, and linoleum for rolling about on the floor kissing. During the Second World War, it was reported that to kiss a girl in Hyde Park is an offence against the law for which a soldier is often fined the whole of the money he has in his pocket. This didn't particularly discourage the average soldier, as he generally didn't have any money in his pocket, having just given it to the girl in exchange for the kiss in the first place.
Adam.
Yeah, I think they would have been discouraging the soldiers from kissing in Hyde Park.
Well, you're unlucky here. It's not true that happened during the Second World War, but it did happen during the First World War.
But was that mean of me, was it?
You've laid a fiendish trap.
I thought that was sort of the nature of the game.
Yes. Carry on.
In Logan County, Colorado, it is illegal for a man to kiss a woman if she is asleep. Strangely, in the same county, it is illegal for a man to have sex with a woman if she is awake. There.
I think it might be true that it's illegal to kiss a woman when she's asleep, because it would be counted as, well, let's call it untoward.
No, that's absolutely true. That in Logan County, Colorado, that is illegal. So well done, yes.
The first ever interracial screen kiss was between William Shatner and Nichelle Nichols.
Tim.
I think that is true.
That is true, yes.
I have no idea where, but...
It was in a 1968 episode of Star Trek.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did she play
Yes. One of them was sort of possessed by hypnotism. That kind of took the sin off it. The world's longest kiss lasted 31 hours, 18 minutes and 33 seconds in a competition in New York starting on Valentine's Day 2004.
Tim.
I think that's true as well. I think that's true.
Yep, that's true.
I thought that was true, but I thought with the World War I thing, he
Well,
shaved
exactly.
3 seconds off and he's going to get us again.
It's interesting, Lee, that you've now become so distrustful of things that seem like they might be true, thinking they might have been changed, when earlier on you were happy to buzz in on things that you couldn't possibly have thought might be true. Thank you, Ed. And at the end of that round, you've smuggled one truth past the rest of the panel, and that is that in the Middle Ages, kissing was declared a mortal sin by the Catholic Church. Which seems very likely, actually, so you did well smuggling that in. But that means at the end of that round, you scored 1 point. The Kama Sutra lists 30 different ways to kiss, or 31 if you include on the mouth. The expression kiss goodbye is most often used in a non-literal sense. In the 1960s, the manufacturer of a well-known treatment for piles ran a less than successful ad campaign with the slogan, "Kiss goodbye to sore bottoms." Okay, it's now the turn of Lee Mack. Your subject, Lee, is the potato, a starchy, tuberous root vegetable crop commonly used in the manufacture of chips, French fries and potato crisps. Off you go, Lee.
The eyes on potatoes are quite literally eyes. They recognise... They recognise sunlight, so know when it's time to wake up. In the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, dry potatoes were used to look like snowflakes. Even more interestingly...
Adam.
Oh, what am I doing? Dry potatoes were made to look like snowflakes. That's the kind of thing that Spielberg might do.
It's the kind of thing he did.
Hey.
Yeah.
Even more interestingly, the Clive Owen film Croupier was actually written by a potato. If you put all the potatoes that are eaten on a Saturday night in Newcastle into one big bucket, they would reach out and try and take those potatoes back. Until the late 18th century, the French believed that potatoes caused leprosy.
Ed.
Maybe did think that the potatoes caused leprosy.
Yes, they did. People also thought that potatoes caused syphilis. And as late as 1720 in America, eating potatoes was believed to shorten a person's life.
Up until 1634, in Papua New Guinea, potatoes were hollowed out and used as condoms.
Ed.
Ed, I think the shape of my head gives so much away. How could that possibly be true?
Yeah.
People used all manner of things. People use orange peels as membrane
Which
contraceptives.
people-
There's a bit of give with orange peels, isn't it?
I was just wondering, Ed, what you thought happened in 1634, which suddenly made them realise this isn't a good system. They call it, in Papua New Guinea, it is known as the time of the Great Realization.
The apple, the onion, and the potato all have the same taste. To prove this, if you bite one and hold your nose, they will all taste sweet.
Adam.
What did he say? The same taste if you...
Should I read the fact out again?
Yeah.
The apple, the onion, and the potatoes are all made of cheese.
It's the apple, the onion, and the potato have the same taste, and if you bite one and hold your nose, they will taste sweet.
I'm going for that.
You're right to go for that, that's true.
Yeah.
And in fact, hey, would you like to try
I
it?
don't mind biting into an onion
Well, we've got
occasionally.
an apple, an onion, and a potato here, so now...
I'll start with the apple.
Starting with the
Hold
apple.
your nose.
Hold your nose.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, keep your nose held even when you go to the next one.
Right, so it doesn't taste so much as it sort of has a little...
Doesn't taste so much, does it?
No, not really, but...
Because most of what we think of as taste is, of course, smell.
Biting the potato now.
Of course, often potatoes are even more delicious cooked.
Yeah, it's a similar texture as well. You could easily hold your nose and eat a whole potato and think, this is like an apple. Now the onion.
How unfair this is that he has been given a chance to demonstrate the fact to prove it. I was at no point given a hedgehog and allowed to ask it to go around and test.
Okay, here we go for the
here goes the
onion.
onion.
Oh dear. I think
That was a bigger than necessary bite.
Yeah. That was showing off.
I mean, there's no actual... Oh, there's some flavour coming.
Oh, sorry, I've read it wrong. Sorry, it's actually false.
Have another go with the apple and maybe that will help.
It was that...
I wish I'd
As
changed
Lee
onions
said
to
to
bag of
me,
dog poo.
I bet you can't get someone to eat. No.
No, it is good.
No, it is... It is anyway apparently true, but
The apple tastes amazing now.
it's one of those things that are officially true, but now we discover aren't really quite true in real life.
No.
But you still get a point, and well done for having gone through that.
Thank you very much.
Lee.
If you cut a potato into the exact shape of a AAA battery and insert it into a clock, it will keep running for over 5 minutes.
Tim.
I think that's true.
Well, if you'd like to pass me that Maris Piper and that Harvey knife.
But I'm sure there was a thing at school where you put wires in potatoes and make things run.
Potato clocks and potato bombs even. No, I'm...
I think there is a thing you can do at school with wires and a potato, but I don't think cutting it into the exact shape of a AAA battery and shoving it in the clock will work.
Okay, I realise I've lost a point there, but for me, that was a grey area.
Can I carry on, David?
Do carry on, please.
Despite popular belief, the potato was not introduced to Britain by Sir Walter Raleigh, but was in fact first smuggled.
Ed.
That is true. It wasn't introduced to Britain by Sir Walter Raleigh.
Yes, that is true.
Is it true?
That is true,
I
yeah.
genuinely thought I'd made that up. I'm going mental.
Right, well that was not one of the truths you were given, but it is true, and it was...
Well, hang on, just to absolutely clarify, that I made that up and it just happens to be true, does it?
Yes.
It's kind of my
But
point
if
about...
Yeah, but if I'd have finished it off and said, this is what I was going to say, despite popular belief, the potato was not introduced to Britain by Sir Walter Raleigh, but was in fact first smuggled into the country in the early 18th century by Vivian Westwood. Now
That's not true. No. But
But
no,
part of
no,
it
it's not
was
one or the
true.
other. It's not binary. It's not, it must have been Walter Raleigh in the 16th century or Vivian Westwood in the 18th. Sir Francis Drake has a better claim to have introduced the potato. I don't think they're 100% sure. But Raleigh only ever set foot in Virginia, where the potato was not indigenous, so he couldn't have introduced it.
Right, well, God knows if this is truth or a lie, but I'll have another go. Not only do potatoes contain more chromosomes than human beings, they also contain more chromosomes than French people.
Ed.
Go on, potatoes have more chromosomes than human beings.
Absolutely right. The cultivated potato usually has 48 chromosomes in its genetic makeup. A human has only 46. And of course, Lee was only joking. The French are humans.
That's a great area. In slang terminology, a couch potato's wife is called a couch tomato. In 2003, TV celebrity chef Delia Smith was accused of dumbing down British culinary cuisine when she published a recipe called the potato lollipop. The ingredients were a raw potato and stick.
It apparently tastes quite appley. Thank you, Lee. And at the end of that round, you've smuggled one truth past the panel, and that is that in slang terminology, a couch potato's wife is called a couch tomato. Several dictionaries of slang declare this to be the case, so they also define couch tomato as a couch potato with red hair. So that means, Lee, you've scored 1 point. In 1952, Mr. Potato Head was introduced and became the first toy to be advertised on television. The toy consisted of several facial parts to be stuck into a potato. When big rubber lips and straw-like hair became available to be stuck into a lumpy old potato, the Conservative Party made one their candidate to be London Mayor. Which brings us to the final scores. In joint third place with 1 point are Ed Byrne and Lee Mack. Which means that in first equal place with 2 points each are Tim Vine and Adam Buxton. That's about it for this week. Hello and welcome to The Unbelievable Truth, the panel game about truth and lies. Joining me to fabricate, conceal and reveal, please welcome our 4 guests, who are, in reverse order, almost unpronounceable. So let's do them the right way round. They are Phil Jupiters, Tony Hawk, Simon Evans and Alan Davis. Now, the game is very simple. In fact, if it were any simpler, we'd have to call it Simon and send it out to buy pies from some mythical pieman on his way to a fair. Each of the panel speaks mainly rubbish. They will take turns to present a short lecture on a given subject, and they've each been provided with some unlikely but completely true information which they should try to hide in amongst their lies. Successfully slipping in unnoticed true facts scores points, as does the spotting of them. Let's kick off with Tony Hawks. Tony first found fame as a musician with his single The Stutter Rap. Released in December 1987, the country was on tenterhooks as it became that year's Christmas number 47. Tony, your subject is the skateboard, a 4-wheeled platform propelled by pushing with one foot while the other remains on the board.
The world champion skateboarder is the stunningly attractive male model Tony Hawks. Despite this, Tony Hawks receives no emails to his website every week from illiterate American kids who intend to tell another world champion skateboarder, Tony Hawk, that he rocks and that he is a cool dude. Tony Hawks doesn't reply rudely to them and publish the replies on his site. Half the skateboarders in America have no pubic hair. Roughly half of them live in California, and 50% don't realise that 50% is half.
Alan.
I don't know. Yes. The thing about half the skateboarders live in California, I bet that's right.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
Well done. There are only 3 tricks that it's possible to perform on a skateboard, and they are these. When the skateboarders raise one arm aloft after a jump, it is known as Hitler air. When skateboarders genuflect in midair after having leapt from a ramp, it is commonly called a Pope air. And when skateboarders simulate an effigy of Jesus Christ whilst in midair, it's called Christ air. All of the US House of Representatives are fanatical skateboarders and regularly do Christ airs before debating new laws. In fact, they are so keen that they have proclaimed June the 21st as a national holiday for skateboarding.
Simon.
That last bit, and that last bit alone, the national holiday, I think, might be?
Yes, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Celebrity skateboarders include John McCririck and Anne Widdecombe. Another celebrity skater is Sir Ben Kingsley. Filming on Gandhi was held up for 2 weeks when Ben, or Sir as I like to call him, sprained his ankle skateboarding between takes.
Phil.
I think that happened.
It didn't happen.
No, you misunderstand. I think it did. Right. I'm just exposing an inner truth and state of massive delusion I labour under.
No, it didn't happen. No,
but imagine Gandhi on a skateboard. Be fair. What a pleasing image.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a film pitch in itself, actually, and you should probably not share it with us, because we'll all be going into Miramax tomorrow. Gandhi on a skateboard. This time the Raj is going to have wheels on it a bit.
I can see it now, Morrissey singing the soundtrack. Gandhi on a skateboard, I know.
Well, I thought of it first.
See, already the recriminations.
It's not going to be a film, okay?
In Norway, one day in November 1978, all skateboarders fell off their skateboards at the same time, owing to a minor earthquake. As a result, there was a long period in Norway from 1978 to 1989 when skateboarding was completely banned.
No way you made that up.
Which bit?
There was an earthquake and it was banned because it was dangerous, so falling off.
The earthquake's not true, but it is true that skateboarding was banned in Norway from 1978 to 1989, but not because of any earthquake fears or falling off fears, but just because it was deemed annoying. Which of course it is. It is annoying, and they were right, and I don't know what madness came over them in 1989 for them to re-legalise it. But
what are you going to do with the adjudication on that one?
I think I'm going to give you the point, Alan.
I got a point. I love skateboarding, by the way. It's not annoying at all.
And I imagine there's a number of furious Norwegian skateboarding enthusiasts listening to this show. Oh, dude, why is he saying that about my sport? That year, 1987 to 1988, was the darkest year of my life.
Are these the sort of Norwegian skateboarder who have motor neuron disease?
Indeed.
Speak through those special computers. Carry on.
When skateboarders flip their boards with their right foot, the term bongo is used. When skateboarders flip their boards with their left foot, the term spongo is used. When skateboarders push with their front foot rather than their back foot, the term mongo is used. The word skateboard means fish in Bengali. That is all.
Thank you, Tony. And at the end of that round, Tony, you managed to smuggle 2 truths past the panel.
Don't tell me it was the Bengali fish.
No,
please, it wasn't bongo, spongo, pongo, mongo.
It was. One of them was that when skateboarders push with their front foot rather than their back foot, the term mongo is used.
Oh, that's lovely and sound for Radio 4.
Yeah, the other 2 ongo terms weren't true. And the other truth was that when skateboarders simulate an effigy of Jesus Christ while in midair, it's called Christ Air.
Isn't that the Vatican's airline?
That means, Tony, you scored 2 points. Tony indeed spoke truthfully. Between 1978 and 1989, skateboarding was banned in Norway. It was deemed too noisy, dangerous and unsociable. It also frightened the whales and made them difficult to slaughter. There is much debate surrounding the best skateboard for various jobs. The UK's top skateboarder believes a 29-inch board is best for street use, but a 27-inch is best for stunts, whereas his girlfriend is a completely hypothetical construct. The most likely part of the body to be injured while skateboarding is the wrist. How ironic is that? Okay, we turn now to Simon Evans. Your subject, Simon, is William Shakespeare, the poet and playwright sometimes referred to as the Bard of Avon, and widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Simon.
William Shakespeare is amongst the most enigmatic writers to have come out of his native Wales. Even his real name is a mystery, for in each of the half-dozen signatures we have...
Alan.
Was he born in Wales? I'm actually quite curious.
The answer is no, he wasn't born in Wales. He was born in Stratford-upon-Avon.
It was a trick one.
Yeah.
Because they would have been the Bard of Cardiff.
Yeah. The Bard of the Taffy.
He'd have moved. They didn't have pens or anything there, did they?
Oh, did they not?
For keeping the sheep in.
Oh, yeah,
Anyway.
of course he did, yeah. That's a sort of pun that Shakespeare himself
Yes.
is proud of.
Even his real name is a mystery, for in each of the half-dozen signatures we have, he spells it differently, and in one he has even drawn little hearts as the dots over the I's in William.
Tony.
I think he does sign it. Spells it differently.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, yeah, you're right, both of you, but Tony gets a point with it. Yes. And he never spells it as we spell it today. So, but I mean, obviously he's just trying lots of things. He doesn't know how to spell it. So why should we listen to him? What does he know about writing?
Shakespeare was born in 1564 of illiterate parents, as evidenced by their subscription to Ye Daily Express. His subsequent achievements?
Tony.
He was born in 1564.
He was indeed, and to illiterate parents. He was, in fact, baptised on the 26th of April 1564, so it's most likely he was born that year. And his official birthday is traditionally observed on the 23rd of April. His father was illiterate, but a successful glove maker.
Well, you don't need to be able to spell glove to make a good glove.
No, you don't.
You don't.
You need to be able to count to 5.
Exactly.
Yes. Would you send in Shakespeare a birthday card if we're unsure about his birthday? Would you like send him one of them Hallmark ones with a really crappy poem in it?
I think if I was sending a birthday card to Shakespeare, I'd choose one of the sort of tasteful, maybe with like a nice print from the V&A on the front.
Heritage.
That's blank for my message. But
I
don't think I'd go for a poem.
No,
I'd feel embarrassed. I think
I'd
I'd
have
go
a
for, you know.
kitten in a sombrero
Right.
on the front.
No, I
You
think...
know those kittens they have on those cards? They're all dead, you know.
Well, after the photograph.
I know they're dead now.
No, they're dead, and then they use them to make photos of them. So they put a dead kitten in a spoon and then whack the end of it and it flies in the air. It's dead, you know.
Snuff cards.
They're
Go to the
snuff
back.
cards. Yeah, then they get 4 kittens and shove them in a milk bottle or something and they look really... I just made that one up, but that's a good idea.
Like the one where the kitten is on the broom handle. Is that a kitten alive?
It's already dead. They're all
Really?
dead. And all the ones with children with chocolate on their faces like that in the 50s. Those kids are all dead as well. Very few living people feature on birthday cards.
And if they're still alive, you've got to pay them a royalty, haven't you?
You wouldn't have to pay a royalty to a kitten.
You'd have to pay it to their handler.
You'd have to pay it to the handler.
Yeah.
Oh, silly me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little deck chair, kitten in it, that kitten's dead.
Yeah.
My dear Bacon, the card you sent me cut me to the quick, for 'tis been told the kitten was dead on that. Ah, my heart wept for the dead feline thereon. Thanks for the fiver, though.
It sounds a bit like Robert Robinson, your
Carry on.
Whose go is it anyway?
It's fine.
Come on, Shaky.
Shakespeare's obsessions are a window on his era. Sport features heavily. Among the plays are 2 mentions of cricket, albeit with a K, in the Comedy of Errors and King Lear.
Tony.
I think that there is reference to cricket.
No, there isn't.
Oh.
No, there is reference to football,
Ah.
but no, cricket I think came up with a lot later.
Among the other anachronisms in Shakespeare's plays are the appearance of a giraffe in Macbeth. Some 800 years...
He just gave me a little look. He gave me a slow little look to say you're going to press for that, David. I know you are. I'll have you know I did Macbeth for O-level and there's no drafts in it.
Okay. A chiming clock.
Are there?
A chiming clock in Julius Caesar, and the use of the word anachronism in The Merry Wives of Windsor, a full 80 years before Shakespeare would himself invent it in that very play. And yet Shakespeare was himself...
You're playing mind again.
Shakespeare was himself well ahead of his time in being, among other things, a committed vegetarian. He even considered renaming Hamlet Omelette.
He was a vegetarian.
No, he wasn't.
The cosmetics company Avon was originally established to sell Shakespeare's complete works door to door, the cheap cosmetics, for which they are now renowned only being intended initially as giveaways, a somewhat counterintuitive lure into the world of great literature. Nowadays, the complete works themselves are often given away as a free gift. Despite their apparent heft in book form, they actually come in at about 5 megabytes, containing less information, digitally speaking, than a couple of album tracks by McFly.
Tony.
The last bit's wrong, but he did say that they're often given away as
Well, that's absolutely true, and the last bit isn't wrong. In digital form, they come in at about 5 megabytes, containing less information than a couple of album tracks by McFly.
which I kind of wanted as well.
It's all true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Simon. At the end of that round, you smuggled 2 truths past the rest of the panel.
No.
And they are that among the anachronisms in Shakespeare's plays is a chiming clock running some 1400 years fast in Julius Caesar. And the other one is that the cosmetics company Avon was...
I knew it! I bloody had my finger there and I was scared. I was crippled by fear.
Well, yes, it was originally established to sell Shakespeare's complete works door to door, and they gave...
Does I would then, but I'll have the lipstick.
Well, they gave the cosmetics as a freebie to encourage the sale of the
now
complete
they're
works.
very popular in with transvestites.
What, Shakespeare?
No. Or
complete
maybe, but
works.
Avon. Door to
Right.
door, because they don't like going into the makeup department. It's a bit embarrassing. So now it's more ding dong, Avon call it. Like that.
Oh, right. So
And now
people,
told me by
these transvestites who are embarrassed to go around dressed as a woman. Why don't they stop?
It's so... I don't know, it's just, there it is. It's a fact. What are you going to do?
Anyway, that means, Simon, that you've scored 2 points. It's now the turn of Alan Davis. Your subject, Alan, is frogs, amphibians characterised by their long hind legs, short bodies, webbed digits and protruding eyes. Fingers on buzzers, the rest of you. Off you go, Alan.
There are an estimated 250 million frogs worldwide. And despite their fragile appearance, they are the toughest of all creatures, able to withstand extremes of heat and cold. During the war in Vietnam, the Southeast Asian amber bush frog was the only creature able to withstand napalm attacks. Burning napalm on the skin of the frog appeared to have no effect other than to cause it to glow in the dark. There were plagues of rats in the jungles of Vietnam, but the GIs
Well, that much is true, although it's not about frogs, so I don't know if it's allowed.
Were there plagues of rats in the jungles of Vietnam?
Yes.
I mean,
I thought I'd made that up.
I mean, it seems...
I think you said the jungles were plagued by rats, or was it that
they
were
said
plagued?
there were plagues of rats in the jungles of Vietnam. You see, I'm no leader.
Oh, adjudicate.
I'm giving you the point.
The best I expected was neutrality, really.
Was it?
There are also jungles in Vietnam, if you want to... You can probably have for that point as well while you're here. Yeah. The GI's phobia of the glowing frogs led to behavioural studies that concluded that more people have a phobia of frogs than rats.
Tony?
More people do have a phobia of frogs than rats.
Yes, that's absolutely true.
But are frogs equally hardy in cold conditions? The Norwegian explorer Amundsen wrote about a colony of large, docile Arctic frogs which spend most of the year frozen solid. His discovery that it's possible to freeze and thaw certain frogs was always disputed by the British. Simon?
I did see some frozen frogs on Life in Cold Blood. I don't know if they were Arctic, but it's as good a place as any, isn't it, if you're going to find frozen frogs? So I'll say that bit's true.
Well, just in Attenborough's fridge?
Yeah.
I put these in the fridge for a laugh.
Yeah. It is absolutely true that it is possible to freeze and thaw certain frogs.
Yeah.
And that they will remain alive, because otherwise, it's possible to freeze and thaw anything. But you can freeze and thaw them, and apparently they use sugars as an antifreeze for their vital organs. So, yeah, good point. Carry on.
How dangerous are frogs, you may ask?
Well, we may ask that.
Yeah. I don't think I'm becoming a soft touch when I say that you should get 2 points. No, in fact, sorry, I've gone mad. Don't be a fool. Carry on.
The most poisonous frog in the UK is the midget bunny amphibian, which carries enough venom to kill a rival frog. Its effect on humans has been likened to the feeling you get after eating 3 chocolate eclairs in quick succession. Its venom status, on the Richter scale of venom, the Muller measure, where encounters range from lethal to harmless, is officially measured as regretful. Frogs are genetically incapable of aggression, so much so that the French became concerned about the sedative effect of frogs' legs on soldiers during the Napoleonic Wars. And, much as Hannibal introduced the term herd into the language when he brought a herd of elephants into Europe, previously a herd of cows was referred to as a field of cows.
This is so boring, it's got to be true. This whole field of cows and herd of... I don't think you'd make this up.
You sort of... he did, I'm afraid. I'm sorry if he's diminished in your eyes as a result. But no, Hannibal didn't introduce the term herd into the language. Because actually, no one spoke English at the time of Hannibal. He presumably spoke some Carthaginian dialect, and the Romans spoke Latin. And...
He tricked me.
Yeah, he did trick you. Sorry.
Napoleon's habit in his diaries of referring to them as an army of frogs has passed into common usage. The previous collective term for frogs was the dawn nymphs, due to their early morning chorus.
Simon?
Yeah, I'll have that. Dawn nymphs.
This is not your
sauna.
Got bookies. Oh, yeah. Well, Dawn nymphs. Tenner on that.
No, that's not true. Sorry.
Well, it was beautiful.
The term the dawn nymphs was revived by the great French chef Auguste Escoffier, who served frogs' legs in 1908 as the thighs of the dawn nymphs.
Phil?
Yeah, he did.
You're right, he did. Escoffier is credited with the introduction of frogs' legs to British menus 100 years ago, and he called them the thighs of dawn nymphs to make them sound more palatable. And I think Simon would agree that it does.
So, in fact, frogs have been referred to as dawn nymphs prior to Alan.
This is not Crown Court. You can't negotiate your way into it.
I'm just
I
want to
put
make
it
sure
to you
that Alan didn't make up the term dawn nymph, for which I credited him with a degree of poetry a little bit earlier. But in fact, this was Escoffier's term, was it?
Yes, it was.
Okay,
yeah.
Sorry, Alan.
Yeah, quite all right.
You've somehow wangled a plague of rats in Vietnam. Frogs were intended to be used by the American military in experiments in space, but when they were sent on high-altitude weightless experiments, it was discovered they vomit.
Yeah.
Tricky one, this, isn't it?
Yeah. Let Alan finish what he was going to say.
And then buzz. All right.
Well, and then buzz or not.
Okay.
You know.
It was discovered they vomit by throwing up their entire stomachs and then cleaning them out with their little arms.
Phil.
There's the fella.
Yes, absolutely true. They vomit by throwing up their stomachs and cleaning them out with their little arms.
I think that people would not throw up outside pubs if that's what happened. Oh, just got to clean my intestines out.
The American military don't have little arms.
No, the frogs have little arms.
Oh, right.
It would have been an evolutionary cul-de-sac if frogs were dependent on the American military to be able to throw up. Thank you, Alan. You only managed to smuggle one truth past the panel, which is that the collective term for frogs is an army of frogs, rather than a nymph's thigh. So that means you've scored 1 point. Frogs are quite peculiar in using their bulk to push food down to their stomachs, while the male's gaping mouths flap uncontrollably as they clasp the female with their hind legs while mating. The frog is the only creature to do this, with the possible exception of Andrew Lloyd Webber. Okay, it's now the turn of Phil Jupitus. Phil's family came to Britain from Lithuania, and indeed Phil still carries a Lithuanian visa, possibly one of the less useful credit cards. Your subject, Phil, is bananas, the common name for a fruit and also the herbaceous plants that produce bunches of this fruit. Off you go, Phil.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer's #1 fruit, the banana, or as it is literally translated in Swahili, the curving canary torpedo, contains more zinc than a Fortiera and is mined in the French Alps, where its shape inspired the original design of the Alpine horn.
Alan, more zinc than a Ford Sierra.
No.
I bet there's no zinc in a Ford Sierra. Don't tell me it's made of zinc.
Now, I don't think Ford Sierras are made entirely of zinc. There's less zinc in a banana than a Ford Sierra, I think. Sorry.
Bananas have several odd side effects that are not widely known. If eaten whole and sideways, they may cause victims to smile or frown uncontrollably. And if you do eat a large quantity of bananas, you become a mosquito magnet. The first banana...
Simon.
Yes, have that one. The mosquito magnet.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
The first bananas sold in the UK at 27 minutes to 5 or 1633 were called Little Frenchmen as a term of abuse to the old enemy. This massive yellow herbal berry, the banana is not for the accident prone due to its...
Alan.
It is a berry.
It is a berry. Yes, you're quite right. Yes. Strictly botanically speaking, the banana is a berry, not a fruit.
It is not for the accident prone due to its slippery qualities and aerodynamic shape. If you try to throw a banana away, it will come straight back at you. Bananas are poisonous to all but a handful of animals. The banana otter leaps over 60 feet from running water to snatch overhanging bananas. This makes them prey for their main predator, the banana otter eagle, which in turn is eaten by the banana otter eagle panther. The World Banana Eating Championships were held in Estonia, where the winner consumed 10 in 3 minutes.
Thank you, Phil.
Not through,
Yeah. So, Phil, at the end of that round, you smuggled 3 truths past the rest of the panel, and they are that the banana is the reindeer's, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and other reindeers' favourite fruit. Apparently, they love bananas. Don't know where they find them, but...
You said it wasn't a fruit.
Well, no, they are strictly a berry, but they're also colloquially a fruit. And I actually, in fact, I've had it up to here. People at home will have to guess where I've had it up to. But with this whole thing about, oh, the tomato's not a vegetable, it's a fruit. Oh, the strawberry's not a fruit, but the pips on it are a fruit. You know, it's perfectly obvious what's a fruit. If it would go in a fruit salad, it's a fruit. And there's no... And I don't see why any scientist has the right to gainsay that. So... The second truth, the smuggled past, is that the first bananas sold in the UK was sold in 1633. That's, not the time, actually. That was your joke. The last truth is that at the World Banana Eating Championships that were held in Estonia, the winner consumed 10 bananas in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Skins and all.
Oh, skins and all.
Didn't seem enough.
I don't think it seems enough.
No.
If your raison d'etre in life was the quick consumption of bananas, would you not hope to get more than 10 down you in 3 minutes? Because I would. I think that's pretty pathetic. No. And last year was a good year, the year of 10, because last year was just 8. Oh, well, that's hardly a spectacle. Eat 8 berries. So, that means, Phil, you've scored 3 points. Which brings us to the final scores. In 4th place, with -2 points, we have Tony Hawks. In 3rd place, with a very creditable 0, it's Alan Davis. In 2nd place, with 3 points, it's Phil Jupitus. And in 1st place, I'm slightly relieved to say, with a margin greater than the Plague of Rats point, getting 5 points, it's Simon Evans. That's about it for this week. All that remains is for me to thank our guest. Hello and welcome to The Unbelievable Truth. Please welcome our 4 guests who are going to mix fact with fiction. They are Lucy Porter, Michael McIntyre, Fred Macaulay and Graham Garden. Each of the panel will present a short talk on a given subject, which will mainly comprise falsehood and fabrication. However, they've all been provided with a number of true pieces of information which they should try to smuggle past the other players. Points are scored by truths that go unnoticed, while the opponents can win points if they do manage to spot them. Let's kick off with Fred Macaulay. Fred, your subject is the bed, a piece of furniture or location primarily used as a place to sleep. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Fred.
Once a month, at the start of the month, Hungarian peasant wives turn their mattresses over and put on clean sheets to bring good luck and, more than likely, to confuse not the millions, but billions of inhabitants like dust mites lurking therein. My 20-year-old son has almost managed to achieve something which it takes a normal human being a whole lifetime to achieve, in that he spent nearly 25 years in his bed. Centuries ago, the Far Eastern discipline...
Graham.
Sorry, trying to do the math. We do spend 25 years in bed.
Yes, we absolutely do. Well done.
And if my memory serves me right from another programme, 3 years in the toilet.
Funny old life till you're 28, isn't it?
But I mean, you should cram it all into one, and then
get it over with. That's what my parents said.
Centuries ago, the Far Eastern discipline of Xiangbi decreed that the angle of bed layout in relation to the walls of the house would have a bearing on whether the occupant's teeth would chatter in the night. Roughly translated, the motto went, bed facing south, rattly mouth. Bed facing west, teeth be best. Although obviously in Mandarin it didn't rhyme. It's not known whether Charles Dickens subscribed to Xiangbi, but he was meticulous in ensuring that his bed was aligned from north to south, and furthermore,
Graham.
Yeah, I think he did always sleep north to south.
He did, yes.
Yeah,
that's absolutely right.
More men sleep nearer the bedroom door than women. A good few of those men, it has to be said, are on the landing side of the bedroom door, where they can be heard howling and begging forgiveness. In matters of law, the term...
Lucy.
This probably isn't true, but I think true that most men sleep on the side by the door so that they can get up and repel intruders.
Yeah, that is absolutely true, yeah.
According to recent research, the average bed lasts longer than the average marriage. Beds are changed every 12 and a half years. The average divorce is granted 11.4 years into the marriage, which by my reckoning means that the average bed is unused for 1.1 years. In Scotland, in royal and aristocratic households, a contraption was made which was a combination of an ironing board and a bed, as it was felt that the hot stones used for ironing could be used to keep the workers' feet warm when the work had stopped.
Thank you very much. Oh, Graham.
Hot stones and ironing, keeping people warm.
No, that's not true, I'm afraid. No, that's just something Fred's made up. So, I mean, I suppose, ironing would keep you warm, but probably too warm.
Yeah.
So if you're cold in the night, don't iron yourself. It's not worth it.
I think it's fair to say that, David, there will be a Scottish entrepreneur listening to this going, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Fred. And in that round, Fred, you managed to smuggle 2 truths past the rest of the panel, and they are that a typical bed can house more than 6 billion dust mites, which, maybe we are just dust mites in some almighty bed. And the other truth is that according to recent research, the average bed lasts longer than the average marriage, getting replaced every 12.5 years, whereas the average divorce is granted after 11.4 years of marriage. That's a bit... Well, is that depressing about marriage, or it's a good sign about the standard of manufacture of our beds?
It's interesting, the bed is fine for 11 years of marriage, then after the divorce it just lasts 1 year, and then it's ruined.
Anyway, so that means, Fred, that in that round you've scored 2 points. The expression 3-dog night originated with the Eskimos and means a night so cold that you go to bed with 3 dogs to keep warm. The number of dogs you take to bed is measured on the Wayne Rooney scale. OK, we now turn to Graham Garden. Your subject, Graham, is Sweden, a Nordic country on the Scandinavian peninsula in northern Europe, which has borders with Norway and Finland. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Graham.
Sweden is best known as the original home of the root vegetable that bears the name of its capital city, Mangelwurzel. In medieval times, extracts of the turnip-like root were supposed to confer magical strength on those who drank it. In fact, it is said that Swedish athletes still follow this practice.
Fred?
I think that the powers given by drinking from the extract of the Mangelwurzel is true.
I'm afraid it isn't.
No, but I think that.
Oh, right. So you were just sort of buzzing into a pint?
Say out loud.
Yeah. That's interesting. Do you still think that now I've told you it's not true?
Yes.
All right. Well, it's like a religion for you. Carry on.
And therefore it's doubtful that Mangelwurzel Tonic was behind the success of the 2003 Swedish team, who were winners of the 7th World Underwater Rugby Championships. Gambling, on the other hand, has been illegal in Sweden since 1978, when King Carl Gustaf bet the Prime Minister 1 million kroner he wouldn't dare ban it. Nevertheless, in defiance of the law, the town of Ystad in Sweden hosts a game of cow bingo every year, in which visitors place bets on which of 81 squares in a field a cow will first drop a cowpat on. Sweden's national...
Yeah, that's got to be true. The cowpat on a square in the field.
That is absolutely
yes.
true. I must say, I don't know why you think it has to. I mean, it is true, but it didn't jump out as me as, that's got to be true, that's obvious. Who'd do anything else with a field? It's the night's drawing. What better to do than speculate on where a cow is going to shit? Graham.
Sweden's national drink is the spirit Aquajet. The liquor is so strong and unpleasant that Swedes celebrate by not drinking it. In fact, less of it is sold at Christmas than any other time of the year. The word Sweden and rock and roll are inseparable. Swedish pop group ABBA almost had to change their name, as ABBA is the brand name of a large Swedish pickled herring firm. ABBA, as it turned out, were allowed to keep their name, although an injunction brought by Alpen meant they had to change the lyrics of their song from "Thank You for the Muesli."
Lucy.
Not thank you for the muesli. I think the ABBA thing, I think they might have had to change their name because it was a brand of pickled herring.
Yes, they did. Yes.
Whoa. Well, they just pickled herring would be an excellent name for a band.
Do you think?
I believe it fervently.
It's got the associations of fish and alcoholism. Always so cool.
When I'm number one with pickled herring, you ain't coming backstage.
Okay.
Sweden and Denmark couldn't agree on whether a bridge or a tunnel should be built as a fixed link between the two countries across the Öresund. So they compromised, and on the Swedish side the link is a bridge, but on the Danish side it's a tunnel. Swedish cinema.
Fred.
I don't know if I'm going to try and work that one out, because I know that in the United States there is a bridge tunnel hybrid motorway system. So I'm going to guess that the link between the two countries is a tunnel stroke bridge.
That's absolutely right. It's a tunnel on the Danish side and a bridge on the Swedish side, and there's an artificial island in the water in between where, as it were, the bridge plunges down underground.
Yeah, you would need that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a sort of very dull roller coaster, essentially, isn't it? With one event.
And the island in the middle is called Whoa! Swedish cinema is recognised as being the original home of the modern slasher movie, with films such as Ingmar Bergman's The Severed Seal. This addiction to gory violence is thought to be the reason that Sweden spends more per head on tomato ketchup than any other nation.
Michael.
I'm really struggling. I mean...
Was that a buzz for help?
Yeah. Really based on nothing. I'm going to say that it's true. The Swedes, they eat a lot of tomato ketchup.
That is absolutely true.
Getting!
Yeah.
Getting!
Thank you, Graham. So, Graham, you managed to smuggle one truth past the rest of the panel, and that is that Sweden were winners of the 7th World Underwater Rugby Championships in 2003. No. I don't know what it is about rugby played above the water that is such a handicap for Swedish players, because they don't dominate the conventional game in the way they clearly do the underwater version. And anyone who knows should write in about that to have made up address in their heads. That means, Graham, you've scored 1 point. Famously the home of IKEA, Sweden gave us the Flat Pack, possibly the most sober and least hell-raising bunch of actors ever. The Swede Anders Celsius gave us the centigrade scale and also invented the rectal thermometer. The prototype was about 9 inches long and 2.5 in diameter. The suspicion is that he hadn't intended to invent the rectal thermometer, he just had to explain something when his wife came home unexpectedly. Right. Right, it's now the turn of Lucy Porter. Your subject, Lucy, is Leonardo da Vinci, the Italian polymath, scientist, mathematician, engineer, inventor, anatomist, painter, sculptor, architect, botanist, musician and writer, often described as the archetype of the Renaissance man. Fingers on buzzers, the rest of you. Off you go, Lucy.
Few people know that Leonardo da Vinci spent 3 years in the circus as a strongman. Leonardo was most proud of his ability to manipulate metal with his bare hands, bending iron bars and horseshoes. He was married to a bearded lady.
Graham.
I have a feeling Leonardo was very strong, and I think he did show off his
he
circus skills.
Yes, that's absolutely. He was not in the circus, but he was very strong, and he used to manipulate metal with his bare hands, bending iron bars and horseshoes. So that's quite right.
Leonardo da Vinci didn't actually paint all of the Mona Lisa. He drafted in a student called Gianfranco Delessi because he couldn't do hands. In 1999, a team of British scientists performed a 3D infrared scan on the Mona Lisa, which revealed that in the original sitting she was showing a nipple. Da Vinci's initial idea for the painting was that it could be used as a display board from which to sell peanuts.
Michael.
I think that they had a look, and I think that's true about the nipple.
Right, I'm afraid it isn't.
Okay.
No. Graham.
And the thing about he didn't paint the whole of the Mona Lisa. She's only the top half.
Well, I don't know. I don't think I can, because I think you can define the Mona Lisa as the painting as well as the person depicted.
The sketches in Leonardo's notebooks reveal his original blueprint for a pedal-powered tank.
Fred.
Yes, it did.
Yes, it did. Yes. Pedal-powered tank. Pretty useless, really. Essentially, it's just like a toy pedal car that makes you claustrophobic.
But come on, everybody has an off day.
Yeah.
Leonardo, he's just like, yeah, well, okay, it's a pedal-powered tank. I'll do something better tomorrow.
Tomorrow, the helicopter, I swear.
Might do the bottom half of the Mona Lisa, I don't know.
Imagine if that turned up in an attic someplace. And
And she was naked from the waist down.
That and the Last Supper but one, which was a much grander occasion.
As an inventor, Leonardo famously came up with the barometer, the first mechanical gadget for replaying music, which was kind of an early version of the iPod, like the iTipod, and an alarm. Oh yeah, do groan. That was exactly the right thing to do.
Great. Fact.
An alarm clock that woke the sleeper up by gently rubbing his feet, a novelty erotic back scratcher, the sundial, the moon boot, and Sillet Bang.
Michael?
The sundial? Is that true?
No.
Look, I feel there's no way back for me.
The sundial is pretty basic stuff.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. This is the guy that's come up with helicopters and parachutes and pedal-powered tanks. No, he's going to come up with a digital watch, isn't
What
he?
do you say?
How do you think people told the time before the 16th century?
They didn't know the time. They used to not know the time.
Right.
We didn't know the time. People would say, "What's the time?" And they go, "I don't know. Ask Leonardo. He's working on something."
Yeah.
And he would say, "Wait for the sun. I have answers."
Right. No, they wouldn't, and no, he wasn't, and no, it didn't.
They have sundials. I've only in parks, don't they?
Yes.
So what did people used to do? They would say, like, "I'll meet you in the park." What time? I don't know until we get there.
Yeah. I
Do
think
they
they
have
had...
sundials in Scotland?
No, a waste of time that would be.
Do they know, like, the time 3 times a year? It's like, have you got the time? I know that 3 months ago it was 2:30.
The British economy is collapsing. We need the tourism. Don't mention the fact that it rains the whole time in the pretty bit at the top.
Okay.
Or that they have alcohol and obesity issues there. Emphasise the gastropubs and the views.
Like fellow dyslexic Anthea Turner, Leonardo was obsessed with cleaning and enjoyed nothing more than folding his towels into the shape of swans. In later years, Leonardo became obsessed with improving the physical well-being of wild animals. He invented a wig for the bald eagle, glasses for bats, and dentures for a beaver. He became convinced that beavers were more intelligent than human beings and suggested that the beaver chewed off its own testicles because it knew that humans harvested them for medicinal properties.
Graham, that's somewhere in the recess of my mind. I think that's true.
Well, the beaver chewed off its own testicles because it knew that the humans wanted them.
Yes.
Or rather, Leonardo suggested that.
No, there was a belief that he had.
Yes, that's absolutely true.
I mean, you can't know that isn't true, though, can you? Because you can't know what a beaver's thinking.
That's one of the most profound things I've ever heard. You cannot know what a beaver is thinking. No. But Leonardo aspired to know. He thought he knew. He became too mighty. So he was cut down by death. Thank you, Lucy. Well, at the end of that round, Lucy, you managed to smuggle 2 truths past the rest of the panel, which are that Leonardo invented an alarm clock that woke the sleeper up by gently rubbing his feet. So it's sort of reasonable system, I suppose. It's more advanced than a sundial as well, isn't it? And that Leonardo da Vinci, like fellow sufferer Anthea Turner, was dyslexic, something they have in common with Walt Disney, Tom Cruise, and Thomas Edison. So who's the worst out of that list? I'm not going to say. So, at the end of that round, Lucy, you scored 2 points. In 1476, Da Vinci was tried for homosexuality by a Catholic bishop and was declared very enjoyable. Around the edge of the original dust jacket of the Da Vinci Code is a series of numbers which, if read backwards and translated as letters, spell out the words, "This is a badly written pile of old toss." Okay, it's now the turn of Michael McIntyre, about whom it was recently written, if you cut him open, he would ooze thick and sticky comedy juice. Which just goes to prove the standard of NHS medical record keeping isn't what it used to be. Your subject, Michael, is pigs, also known as hogs or swine, which are domesticated ungulates used as a source of food and leather since ancient times. Off you go, Michael.
Pigs, like humans,
Graham.
Stop it.
Graham.
Indeed they do.
Yeah.
That's out of context. You have to wait for me to finish. You're wrong to do what you've done. Oh, it's written as a nonsense.
No,
Right, I'm just going to...
Okay.
I'm going to word it myself. Pigs! Pigs! Depending on...
I'm just giving you advance warning, I'm going to start to chew my own testicles off.
Pigs, depending on where they live, have different accents and dialects, like humans. The human ear can only hear the standard oink, but the recently developed pictophone uses state-of-the-art sonic analysis to reveal that pigs in the West Country go oink, I suppose. In Wales go oi ginnet, and in Ireland oinky oinky. Only English pigs go oink. Estonian pigs go Japanese go boo boo. Korean cuckoo cuckoo. Ukrainian go hajuru. Australian go good on ya, good on ya. Under the right conditions, a pig's intelligence level can rocket. For example, when 3 pigs are placed in a forest under threat from a wolf, they will turn from fat, dirty swine to keen house builders.
Fred. I think under the right circumstances, pigs' intelligence can rocket. Or certainly increase.
Increase isn't rocket. So, I don't... Well, that's certainly not a truth we gave. I don't think that's really true. Sorry.
Unbeknownst to most, the government has been using pigs in this way for hundreds of years. In fact, Milton Keynes is Latin for pigs built this. But with the wolf now replaced by a far more dangerous US subprime mortgage market, pigs are moving with the times and focusing their considerable hidden talents on the computer gaming industry. Researchers in the US taught pigs how to play computer games, and such was their aptitude that the pigs started creating their own games.
Fred.
I was loath to come in, given that they may not increase their intelligence under given circumstances, but I think they have probably played computer games in America.
Yes, they have. Quite right.
Interestingly, the Kiribati Islanders in the Pacific have no word for pig in their language, whereas for the nearby Marquesas Islanders, the only word they have for any domestic animal is the word for pig. Goats are called pigs with teeth on their heads, dogs are called hairy pigs, cats are called little fluffy pigs. The Marquesas Islanders version of the Muppet starred Miss Piggy and Kermit the Green Pig.
Lucy.
What was the first bit? What was the first? Not that I want to make
The first bit was
say those names
pigs.
again. What was the other?
Like humans.
I want. What was? Who's got the no word for pig? Who was?
Well, the Kiribati Islanders.
Kiribati Islanders have no word for pigs,
Yeah, I'm
and the
going with that.
Marquesas Islanders, their only word for any domestic animal is the word pig. What do you think is true?
Can I not have all of that? Oh,
All, you think all
no,
of
no,
them
no.
is
I
true?
love the first bit. I love the first bit. They don't have a word for pig.
I'm afraid the second bit is true. Right. So I couldn't have allowed
I know,
that.
we'd have been
buzz,
ungenuine, wouldn't
yeah,
we?
but the Marquesas Islanders genuinely only have their only word for a domestic animal is pig, and goats are called pigs with teeth on their heads.
Pigs have many other little-known abilities. They have perfect gaydar. That is the ability to identify homosexuals. Shown photos of men, they will oink once if the man is heterosexual, twice for gay, and 3 times for bisexual. The pigs had 100% record until shown a picture of David Williams and oinked 4 times. We also have pigs to thank for the opening of wine bottles. A pig's penis is shaped exactly like a corkscrew.
Fred.
That's a fact.
Yes, it is.
I'm not proud that I know it.
No hesitation there, Macaulay.
But
I'll tell you this, when you've got an old bottle of wine and no corkscrew and a farm next door.
So what do? Dress the wine up as a sexy pig?
Let's just say the pig oinks twice.
Right. More wine was being bottled and corked in the 18th century than at any time since. However, nobody knew how to open it. However, Francois Revert, a French farmer and pervert, who had dinner party guests arriving that night, was contemplating how to open the wine whilst enjoying his hogs when the idea struck him. He soon patented the idea, and the corkscrew was invented. In celebration, he shared all his wine with his swine, not knowing that pigs can become alcoholics.
Lucy.
Pigs can become alcoholics.
Yes, they can. Thank you, Michael. So, Michael, you managed to smuggle 2 truths past the rest of the panel, which are that only in England is it said that pigs go oink, the Estonian pigs go ree, Japanese go... I'm not doing the noises with as much commitment as you did.
I think I'm speaking for everybody when I say I'd like to hear Michael doing them again.
Okay, only English pigs go... Sorry? Mrs. Kid. He's Mrs. Kid. Will you please do pig noises whenever I point it? Okay? That's... Only English pigs go.
They go oink.
Yes, okay. Yeah. You don't have to add words, just the pig noises. Estonian pigs go... Oh, good. Japanese pigs go... Korean pigs go... Ukrainian pigs go... And the other truth, as I said at the time, was that the only word for domestic animal in the language of the Marquesas Islanders in the Pacific is the word for pig. So that means you've scored 2 points. Which brings us to the final scores. In 4th place, with no points, it's Michael McIntyre. And in joint 1st place, with 4 points each, it's Fred Macaulay, Graham Garden and Lucy Porter. That's about it for this week. All that remains is for me to thank our guests. Hello and welcome to The Unbelievable Truth. This is the game all about spotting unlikely true facts mixed up with the more or less believable but made up stuff. Here's an example. In April 2008, the residents of the Lancashire village of Lunt finally became so fed up with vandals constantly amending their road sign that they decided to change the name of the village. Following a lengthy debate, it's now called Locksucker. Now, it doesn't take a genius to see which bit of that was made up. That's right. Lunt is actually in Merseyside, not Lancashire. It does, however, require some genius to play the real game. We have 4 comedians, and each is considered a comedy genius in his own field. Let's see how well they do indoors. They are Adam Buxton, Lee Mack, Ed Byrne and Tim Vine. I'll be asking each of the panel in turn to present a short and highly inaccurate lecture. However, each will try to smuggle in a number of true facts, which the others should try to spot. Points are scored for unseen truths, while opponents win points for those they do identify correctly. Let's kick off with Lee Mack. Lee's sitcom Not Going Out recently won the Golden Rose at the International TV Festival, narrowly beating Peep Show. So congratulations to Lee for winning that, despite the near-criminal level of incompetence of the judging panel. Lee, your subject is fleas, those small wingless insects which, as external parasites, live off the blood of mammals and birds. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Lee.
Fleas are often found in unusual places. For example, there is one type that will only urinate in folk singers' beards, and one that will only live and breed in German beer mats.
Tim.
I'm going for the fleas that only live in German beer mats.
You'd be absolutely right.
The flea is a very advanced creature who can jump so high it is the exact equivalent to a human being jumping over the planet Neptune. Another amazing fact about the flea is that Saudi Arabia is the only country in the world where fleas do not exist. This is due to the fact that cats and dogs are illegal in Saudi Arabia, as is alcohol and fleas.
Tim.
It's true that alcohol is illegal in Saudi Arabia.
I think Lee has unwisely put a true thing in when he didn't need to. There, and
it was so blatantly true that...
I'm going to give you a point, Tim.
Thank you.
I may enrage everyone else.
Thank you.
But I'm not going to lose a point, am I?
No, you don't lose a point, no.
Oh, well, I don't care then. Fleas were the first creature to be trained as a form of entertainment. Queen Christina of Sweden, 1626 to 1689, used to while away the hours by firing cannonballs at them from a miniature cannon, whilst the ancient Egyptians took the flea circus one step further and used to watch things such as flea arm wrestling, flea aerobatic display teams, and the ever-popular flea porn, where the spectators would pay a gold sovereign to look through a magnifying glass and, for a little extra, were allowed to join in with a pair of tweezers. Fleas are the only insect in the English language that rhyme with cheese. Coincidentally, fleas are the only insect that are used to make cheese. In Uzbekistan, the milk of...
Ed.
Fleas are the only insect used to make cheese.
I don't think fleas are used to make cheese. So...
I think for a time they did, but the quantity that was making was so tiny that...
Do you know what? I'll lie on my deathbed, I know, and look back, and my grandson will say to me, "What have you achieved in your life?" And I'll say, "Very little, son. But I did once convince a man they made cheese out of flea milk."
Excuse me, I didn't think they used flea milk to make cheese. Well, I thought
if
I may.
Oh, I see.
And I swear this is true. I thought that maybe there was a bacteria that only fleas had that had to be used to kickstart the process that turned the milk into
the
cheese.
milk.
Kind of flea armpit rennet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if there are any cheese manufacturers listening, I think try and get yourself some fleas and see if you can't scrape something off them that might make a delicious brie.
It would be so easy to
Flea brie.
advertise as well.
Oh, absolutely. People love the idea of fleas being involved in everything they eat. Carry on.
In Uzbekistan, the milk of the flea is used to make a type of cheese similar to cottage cheese. It's quite clacky. Uzbekistan is not the only country where fleas are considered a delicacy. In China, for example, they are as expensive per gram as caviar, although they are often on special offer. Buy one, get one flea. Come on, be honest. In Hawaii, the phrase "little jumping flea" directly translates as ukulele, whilst in...
Ed.
That is true.
Yes, it is.
Fleas have killed more people in history than all wars combined. This death toll is due to a combination of their terrible record when it comes to drinking and driving.
No, it is true. Fleas have killed more people than all wars combined because of the diseases that they've given people, plague and the like.
Yep, that's absolutely true.
The biggest flea ever recorded was one that was found in Indonesia in 1946, which was bigger than a guinea pig. However, the guinea pig in question was the world's smallest ever recorded, which was about the size of a slightly large flea. The cat flea and the dog flea are a completely different species. The main...
Jim.
Yes, I believe they are.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. The main difference being that the dog flea, if trained properly, will lie on its back and play dead.
Thank you, Lee. So, Lee, at the end of that round, you smuggled one truth past the rest of the panel, and that is that Queen Christina of Sweden used to while away hours by firing cannonballs at them from a miniature cannon. I imagine that would while away hours. So that means you've scored 1 point. It is true, ukulele is the Hawaiian word for dancing flea, whereas accordion is the English word for please God no. In 1996, a gang of blackmailers was jailed after demanding £5 million from Harrods. They threatened to release a plague of fleas in the designer clothes department, but Harrods' owner refused to pay up. He wasn't about to be taken in by some ludicrous criminal conspiracy. OK, we turn now to Tim Vine. Tim is a comedian and actor who also stars in the TV sitcom Not Going Out, which recently won a Golden Rose in the Blah Blah TV Festival, narrowly blah blah beating Peep Show. Still, awards like that aren't important, whereas awards like a BAFTA are. Your subject, Tim, is Napoleon Bonaparte, the French military and political leader who eventually became ruler of France as premier consul of the French Republic. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Tim.
Napoleon Bonaparte. To his friends, he was known as Nappy for short. Napoleon Olean for long. Born in Italy, his father was a duck. Napoleon invented...
Ed.
Napoleon was born in Italy.
No.
He snuck that by us with a little duck ball that we carry on.
No, I think he was born in Corsica, which is part of France.
This bloke said to me, he said, "Can you tell me what you call someone who comes from Corsica?" I said, "Corsican." Anyway, I'll carry on. Napoleon invented stilts. Because he was a very short man, he would often relax on the weekend by pretending he was tall, hence the stilts. Sometimes he would attach cheese to them, which is how Stilton got its name. It's also the origin of the phrase stilted conversation, because nothing kills off a conversation quicker than having cheese on your stilts. Occasionally this would attract mice, which Napoleon was scared of. The mice...
I think Napoleon was scared of mice.
No, he wasn't.
The mice would attract cats, which Napoleon was scared of.
Lee.
Stick it back on my list. I would say that I meant cats. Very big mice, I call them.
Yes, no,
Cats.
he was scared of cats.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Apparently, it's called ailurophobia, a persistent irrational fear of cats. Other sufferers may have included, I don't know what that means, other sufferers may have included anyone else on Earth. But other sufferers may have included Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, Mussolini and Hitler.
I've got a cat called Minton. When he eats shuttlecocks, I say badminton. The cats would attract dogs, which Napoleon was scared of.
Yeah, I'll go for the hat-trick on that one.
Do you know what a hat-trick is?
Yes. Oh, yes. All right, a hat-trick of guesses.
No, he's not afraid of dogs, and he's not afraid of mice, he's afraid of cats.
See, you even employed the rule of three, slip the true one in the middle. He's done the very same thing there, but you managed to fall for all three.
Yeah, but sometimes those rules of three are that all three are true, and I've got a terrible memory, and actually genuinely couldn't remember what the mice result was.
I think it would have been odd if Tim had put three of the truths in one sentence, and indeed that if three of the truths about Napoleon, quite an interesting man, were three different animals he was afraid of. But, you know, you do your own reasoning.
Napoleon was a terrible singer, although no one was brave enough to tell him. He would often sing to his troops with a falsetto vibrato on the eve of battles. Waterloo! You see, Napoleon never really grew up. At the back of his house, he constructed a playground. He could often be seen on his yellow swing in the morning, singing in that familiar voice. He also used the climbing frame to dry his pants. And he would draw up his battle plans in the sandpit.
Adam, I think he might have drawn up his battle plans in that sandpit.
He did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Josephine was an entirely fictional character who was never Napoleon's girlfriend or his wife. Napoleon was really in love with Mona Lisa, who taught him to sing. Mona Lisa Stansfield. She was, of course, famous for being the Mona Lisa of the Da Vinci painting. Napoleon loved her so much he had several pictures of her. He kept one in his downstairs toilet, one in his bedroom, and one down the front of his trousers. We've all heard the phrase, an army marches on its stomach.
Yes, we have.
I was only really saying it to do a joke, which I'm coming up to in a moment.
I know exactly why
Okay,
you're
well,
on.
I mean, we're all thoroughly looking forward to that joke, and I'm sure the good humour of the occasion will be restored when we get to it.
I'd say
But
that'd be a
nevertheless,
bloody good one.
I've been thinking, and I do feel guilty about the alcohol point that was scored earlier. I'm going to give you a point.
We've all heard the phrase, an army marches on its stomach. That's certainly true of an army of snakes.
Now, come on, he lost a point for that one.
Food, shall I continue with this?
Yes, do.
Yeah. But food would frequently go off, so Napoleon invented Tupperware. And he had a competition for other ways to preserve food. This competition resulted in the invention of canned food and the first ever mobile fridge.
Lee.
I would say that there's a possibility that, due to a competition, the mobile fridge was invented.
I was going to say the same, but about tinned food.
I was going to say, forgive me for
I'd
fun.
go for mobile fridge.
Well, the mobile fridge is not true. It was not invented under Napoleon.
But tinned
but
food?
tinned food was. In 1795, Napoleon offered a prize for a practical way of preserving food. The prize was won by French inventor Nicolas Appert. What he devised was canning. It was the beginning of the canned food industry of today. It's not a joke, but it is true.
In 1796, he banned his soldiers from drinking milk because he felt it slowed them down, and they were only allowed to wear high heels if the day of the week began with a P.
I think maybe he did think that milk slowed the soldiers down.
Oh, I was going to go for the high heels.
That too.
Neither are true, I'm afraid. I mean, I think milk would slow soldiers down.
Makes you sleepy and sluggish if you...
Well, it's odd, isn't it? Because it does, but coffee picks you up. So when you have a latte, it cancels each other out, doesn't it? Full of milk, makes you tired, but the caffeine kicks in. I don't know where I am when I'm having a latte nowadays.
Probably in a coffee shop.
That's right. Certainly the latter. I'm not sure about the milk.
I mean, this is insightful stuff. Have you thought about becoming an advisor to the military? Sort of saying, because, coffee, it sort of perks you up, whereas milk makes you a bit sluggish. So I think you're going into battle, maybe a bit of both, and maybe a sandwich, but, nothing too bready. Go, guns, bring guns.
Napoleon had a Vauxhall Corsa. And because he was the first person in the world to have a motor car, he had to make the decision which side of the road to drive it. He came up with driving on the right if you were in Europe. He also suffered from total blindness.
Ed.
Did he come up with driving on the right in Europe?
Yep, he did.
Come on.
It was very cunningly sneaked in there.
Basically, before Napoleon, everyone drove on the left. So, we're perfectly sensible. We're not the weird ones. Because the Romans, who are best at everything, as has been agreed by historians, thought we should all drive on the left. And we're the only people who really respect the Romans. That's what that means.
He also suffered from total blindness in his left eye. His mother was called Loretta, and one of his fingernails was sold at auction in 1996.
Lee.
Now, we all know one of these are true. And my past record has proved that I'm not the man to take the helm in these positions. But I feel confident about this one. I know you're looking at me, you're thinking, go for Loretta. Well, you're wrong. I'm going for the fingernail.
That is not true. None of those three things are true, unfortunately. However, what I will say, though, is that Napoleon's penis was sold at auction. It was reportedly severed at his autopsy and purloined, and in 1969 it was sold to an American urologist.
At the auction, was it listed as Napoleon's Bonaparte?
His last words were, Cyril, how am I supposed to knit while you're doing that?
Thank you, Tim. So, Tim, at the end of that round, you smuggled one truth past everyone else. And that is that Napoleon loved Leonardo da Vinci's famous painting, the Mona Lisa, so much that on coming to power, he took it from the Louvre and hung it in his bedroom. So that means at the end of that round, you've scored 1 point. Right, it's now the turn of Ed Byrne. Your subject, Ed, is left-handedness, or the preferred use of the left hand over the right for most manual tasks. Fingers on buzzer, the rest of you. Off you go, Ed.
Being left-handed in Britain has gone through some 18 stages of classification. Up until the late 1500s, left-handed people were burnt alive as abominations. In 1740, the law outlawing backward-handedness, as it was known, was repealed, and being left-handed became officially legal, but was then classed as a disease of the mind, right up until 1952, when it was finally officially downgraded to just a bit weird. Admiral Nelson was one of many famous left-handers to...
Nelson was a left-hander. A famous one.
No.
Famous for using his left hand everywhere.
Let Ed finish.
Admiral Nelson was one of many famous left-handers to use their ingenuity to overcome the problems associated with the condition. Nelson secretly had his right arm removed surgically so as to allow him to use his left without fear of stigma. He did technically become left-handed.
He became left-handed.
Because he only had his left
and
hand.
he was, in fact, he was right-handed when he had a right hand.
Yeah.
So I think you can really call him a committed left-hander. I mean, he was a guy that felt, I've got a hand, I'm going to use it. I'm not going to bloody-mindedly remain right-handed when I don't have a right hand at all. Carry on.
Okay. Leonardo da Vinci famously used to write backwards with his left hand to avoid smudging the ink from his quill. His notes would then have to be held up to a mirror in order to read them. Pope John Paul II used to tie a piece of elastic with an inverted cross attached around his left wrist to remind himself not to favour the hand due to the ungodly nature of left-handedness. Indeed, according to official records, there has never been a left-handed pope.
Lee?
Yeah, I'd say that there has never been a left-handed pope. Never, ever, ever, ever.
There has never been a left-handed pope, that's correct.
Of all the misconceptions about left-handedness, the most commonly held one is in regard to the boxing term southpaw. The term southpaw isn't derived from the cardinal compass point, but actually from the name Hubert South. Hubert Southpaw South was the first left-handed boxer to hold a recognised title in the US. Ironically, by beating the only other left-handed boxer in the tournament, Johnny Backwards Hands Lefty McLeftington III. Left-handed surgeons are more prone to accidentally sticking needles into themselves than their right-handed counterparts, and also have considerable difficulty handling some instruments. Although only medical instruments, they're widely regarded as being better with musical instruments and instruments of torture than right-handed doctors. And there are two facts about left-handedness which together explain the origin of a well-known phrase. Some 2,000 left-handed people die every year from improper use of equipment designed for right-handed people.
Tim.
That is definitely true.
Yes, it is.
Also, the right testicle of left-handed men hangs lower than the left. Hence, when somebody makes a ludicrous mistake, we say, you made a right bollocks of that.
Thank you, Ed. Ed, you managed to smuggle 3 truths past the rest of the panel. And they are that Leonardo da Vinci used to write backwards with his left hand, so his notes would then have to be held up to a mirror in order to read them. It is believed that this mirror writing was supposed to be a code to disguise things from the Catholic Church. But basically, you'd have to pretty underestimate the Catholic Church's code breaking. I mean, it's hardly an Alan Turing job, is it? And the second truth is that left-handed surgeons are more prone to accidentally sticking needles into themselves than their right-handed counterparts. And the third truth is that the right testicle of left-handed men hangs lower than the left.
Extraordinary.
So that means you've scored 3 points. Okay, it's now the turn of Adam Buxton. Your subject, Adam, is marriage, a social institution in which interpersonal relationships are sanctioned with governmental, social or religious recognition. Off you go, Adam.
Research into marriage research has revealed that most researchers are married men who want to bring bachelors down for having more fun than them. Amongst other things, these researchers have claimed that a bachelor's lifespan is 10 years shorter on average than a married man.
Ed, I think that's true.
That's not true.
No, it isn't true. 5 years shorter, is it?
I don't think it's necessarily any shorter or longer. It's just random.
I just like to think it's true. I'm getting married next month. No, that would be a cheap way to get a round of applause. But I am getting married.
The beautiful lady. It's a wonderful thing.
Bachelors are 3 times more likely to go mad than married men.
Tim.
That's definitely true because I think mental illness hits people more often when they're on their own. I live on my own.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely true. Bachelors are 3 times more likely to go.
And bachelors become gradually less attractive as they grow older because the loneliness twists their features into a grotesque mask of self-hate. Fear of marriage is so common that it actually has a name to describe it. Gamophobia, which literally translates as a fear of all the silly games so often played by married people.
Ed.
I believe that fear of marriage has a name.
It does have a name, and in fact the name is gamophobia. Or gamophobia, I don't know how you say it.
In the early part of 1995, marriage rates in the UK leapt by 35% following the success of 4 weddings and a funeral the previous year. However, they took a downturn towards the end of 95 after Hugh Grant was caught with transvestite funeral director Divine Sendoff.
Ed.
I'm going to go for the marriage rate going up after the success of 4 weddings and a funeral. Because I'm really naive like that. Well, considering the sales of pork went down after Babe, you know.
Did they?
Yes, they did. Mad cow disease had virtually no effect on the sales of beef. But you stick a pig in a movie and no one wants to eat bacon anymore.
I wouldn't be surprised if marriage rates didn't go up, but not by 35%.
Yes, that would be a lot.
That would be a lot. So.
Yes.
Wedding rings are worn on the 4th finger of the left hand because the Romans believed a nerve led directly from there to the heart.
Tim.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, it is.
If you're desperate to marry your first cousin, then your best bet is to head to Utah in the United States, where first cousin marriages...
Utah, yes, they allow first cousin marriages.
Yes, he didn't
well,
even get a
with
chance
a
to
proviso, though. They don't allow them just for any random person. You have to be over 65.
Yeah, but
they still allow it.
Nevertheless, they do allow it, so well done, yeah.
Why? That would be because you can't breathe.
After 60, well, it's
well, then
not
why can't you marry your
impossible.
sister after 65 for the same reason?
It's
or your mum?
just too creepy. That's actually it. Legal definition.
Too creepy even for Utah.
Last year, in various parts of the world, there were 74 Klingon marriages, with Star Trek fans being joined in wedlock by a vicar, or vicar. Little Klingon joke for the Star Trek fans there. In 16th century England, it was acceptable for almost anyone or anything to get married.
Yes, including Klingons.
No.
Oh, come on, David, cut me some slack.
What?
I'm a guest. It's got to count for something.
Yes, you know, you've had water. No, it just was not acceptable for almost anyone or anything to get married in 16th century England.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening. I didn't hear anything, but...
That's just, what, an ashtray and some soil. Oh, yes. I hope you'll be very happy together.
Oh, you're so racist. You don't like the mixed marriages, do you?
There are 2 recorded cases of men being allowed to marry livestock. It was acceptable...
Come on, this one is true.
In 16th century England, there are not 2 recorded cases of men being allowed to marry livestock.
Why?
When being allowed to marry, saying 2 cases, okay, and this exception is a lovely goat. Yes, we can marry. It's just you. There was you with this goat, and then there was someone married a Shetland pony several years ago.
They allowed it. I don't know. I thought it could be true. I mean, it's not beyond the realms that it could be true. You could marry a goat officially, legally. Or illegally.
Maybe in Utah, but only if you happen to be related to it already.
Getting a goat that can get to 65, that's the problem with that one.
It was acceptable for children as young as 10 to tie the knot.
Right, I'm going for this one. That one is definitely true.
Yes, that is true.
Come on! Get in there. David, I must leave you now. My work here is done.
I love your technique of just buzzing everything.
It's not like you lose points if you get it wrong. You what? You didn't tell me that.
You do lose points if you get it wrong.
Oh, right. Can I take back all my points?
Yeah.
And in 1723, a man from Southampton married a fishing boat, although that ended when he was caught hopping aboard a lovely frigate.
Thank you, Adam. And at the end of that round, Adam, I'm afraid you smuggled no truths past everyone else. But that means you've scored no points.
Oh, well.
Oh, sorry, it was the wrong turn of phrase for no point. That means you've scored no points. It was the Romans who decreed that the wedding ring should be placed on the 4th finger of the left hand, except in parts of Norfolk, where it's the 6th finger on the right foot. Which brings us to the final scores. In 4th place, with -2 points, we have Adam Buxton. In 3rd place, with no points, it's Lee Mack. And in joint 1st place, with 5 points apiece, are this week's winners, Ed Byrne and Tim Vine. All that remains is for me to thank up. Hello and welcome to The Unbelievable Truth. You join us for our special Christmas-themed programme based around believable lies and implausible facts. For example, in Western Europe, Christmas is the 25th of December, but in Armenia, it's celebrated on January the 6th. In the Russian Orthodox Church, it's January the 7th, while in Tesco's, it runs from the first week of September through to mid-February. Or as they call it, Easter. Please welcome our 4 guests who are going to mix Winterval fiction with Yuletide fact. They are Jack Dee, Sean Locke, Armando Iannucci, and Graham Garden. Each of the panel will present a short lecture on a given subject that should be entirely made up, save for 5 pieces of true information which the panellist should attempt to smuggle past his opponents. Points are scored by truths which go unnoticed, while other panellists can win points if they spot a truth, or lose points if they mistake a truth for a lie. Let's kick off with Graham Garden. Graham, your subject is the Christmas tree, an evergreen coniferous tree that is usually brought into the home at Christmas and decorated. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Graham.
In some parts of the world, especially where people can't afford Christmas tree decorations, the trees are garlanded for good luck with whatever is available. In Papua New Guinea, they use banana skins. In the Ukraine, they hang cobwebs on the tree. And in Wolverhampton, old bus tickets.
Sure. Is the banana skins true? Please. Take your time, I'm enjoying this little brief window where it might be true.
We're at the moment living in a world where it might be true that they use banana skins and they hang on the trees, rotting, going black. The days and weeks of Christmas.
And I didn't think it through because it'd be hot as well. They'd go off quite quickly, wouldn't they?
Stinking the place out.
Yeah.
Like a fridge gone
They
bad.
could dip them in something, a local guava-based sort of lacquer. They could dip them in that, protect them right up till probably St. Lamastide.
Just simply get yourself a tin of banana anti-rot. It's available everywhere. The sales of banana anti-rot in this world would be very high in Papua New Guinea around Christmas. But, no, it's not true.
Oh, you tell me.
Either of us can tell you.
Oh, I see.
I know and he knows.
I think we all knew, in fairness.
No, anyway, sadly, no, they didn't.
One Christmas, Queen Victoria unexpectedly discovered Prince Albert polishing his collection of large silver rings and chains and clamps and other dangly baubles. He explained they were simply Christmas decorations and quickly hung them on the tree. And that is how the practice of decorating Christmas trees was started. Oxford Street Christmas lights were originally candles on huge Christmas trees outside the front of every building along the street.
Armando.
Can I suggest that might be true? No, I will say that's true. That's true. And I'm not prepared to argue about it.
Unfortunately, no, it's not true. I mean, if you're really not prepared to argue about it, then in a sense, you're no longer taking part in the game. You're just asserting untruths publicly,
Well, it's actually called a fight.
Yeah. Essentially, you're reduced to the level of a homeopathist, essentially, asserting the demonstrably untrue in public. It doesn't matter what's true, does it? I say that that's not true because of evidence. You say it is true because of a sort of insane need to win a panel game.
And you believe that two men can't live together happily in a relationship?
That's not what homeopathy is.
I think we work that beautifully together, David.
I knew a homeopathist once, actually, who tried to kill himself by taking an underdose. In Germany, the festive fur has a military connection. In fact, the word spruce derives from an old word for Prussia, because the Prussian army helmets originally had a spike in the shape of a Christmas tree.
I'm saying that's true because it sounds true.
Well, part of it is true, so I think I'm going to give you the point. What's true is that the word spruce derives from the old word for Prussia, but not that Prussian army helmets originally were supposed to have.
No, I didn't think that bit. No, the Prussian...
It would be an oddly festive design for what is essentially war dress. Now, the old word for Prussia was Prusse, and spruce commonly meant bought or obtained from Prussia. There was spruce fur, spruce leather, and spruce beer.
And Spruce Willis.
Graham Karen.
There are literally millions of bugs and insects that you may unknowingly bring into your home on your Christmas tree. These include the tsetse fly, the pubic louse, the turnip moth, and the needle weevil. The original artificial Christmas trees, which were developed in the 18th century French court, were made from goose feathers dyed green and stuck on wires.
I don't know.
Can I say I think the goose feathers is true?
Yes, that's
It
absolutely
inspired
true.
Will Peter.
Nothing to do with the 18th century French court. The artificial trees were made from goose feathers dyed green. I can't imagine anything looking more like a tree than a green bird. And stuck on wires, and they originated in Germany in about 1845.
As if Christmas wasn't bad enough luck for geese already.
Yeah. I suppose it's using all parts of the goose, isn't it?
As it is.
We'll eat the middle and make a tree out of the outside.
We can hang the giblets for decorations, couldn't we?
Yeah, like in Papua New Guinea. Thank you, Graham. Yeah. So, Graham, at the end of that round, you've managed to smuggle 2 truths past the rest of the panel, and they are that in the Ukraine they do hang cobwebs on the tree.
Close, wasn't it?
Yeah, sort of. Close in terms of it was in the same sentence. And the other truth is that an insect you might unknowingly bring into your home on your Christmas tree is the turnip moth, which is a terrible parasite on conifers. Serious point there. And so that means, Graham, you scored 2 points. Christmas trees were first popularised in Britain by Prince Albert, who brought Queen Victoria an 8-foot spruce from Germany for Christmas in 1841. In return, Victoria gave Albert something to help keep him warm while out hunting. East Africa. OK, we turn now to Jack D. In 2001, Jack D was asked to take part in the first Celebrity Big Brother. Initially reluctant, Jack did eventually agree to appear, albeit with a big but, which was amply provided by Vanessa Phelps. Your subject, Jack, is Charles Dickens, one of the most popular English novelists of the 19th century, whose short novel, A Christmas Carol, has prompted people the world over to associate Christmas with Victorian England. Fingers on buzzers, everyone else. Off you go, Jack.
Like all writers and people like that, Dickens was an asthmatic and was in the habit of treating his symptoms with generous doses of opium.
Sean.
Was he asthmatic?
He was asthmatic, and he was also in the habit of treating his symptoms with opium. Jack.
Charles Dickens belonged to an asthmatic sports club, which he joined for a wheeze. Early in his marriage, Dickens made a bet with his wife, whom he lovingly referred to as Pig, that he would name at least...
John.
I think he did call his wife Pig.
You think again, do you?
Yeah. Well, so far it's doing me pretty good.
Do you think that, or do you think you knew that?
No, I think that.
You think that?
I think he called his wife...
Do you know you think
Oh, no, that was John Peel called his wife a pig, wasn't it?
No, it was actually Charles Dickens.
It was Charles Dickens.
Yeah, so Dickens made a promise to his wife, Pig, that he would name at least one unusual animal in each of his novels, hence the passage in Bleak House that describes a zebra, and the mention of a kangaroo in David Copperfield. Dickens had a pet raven called Grip.
Graham.
I think he did have a pet raven called Grip.
Yes, he did have it without the question mark. I think it was an exclamation mark.
all right.
He was called
Grip.
Grip.
Called Grip.
Not Rip. That would be actually... You could destroy a child psychologically by putting a question mark at the end of his name.
Yeah, but I mean, a raven, you might come across a crowd of ravens, and you just go up to each one and say, Grip. And when it nodded, you'd know that you'd found yours.
Yeah.
Take it home.
But in that case, the interrogative inflection is because you're asking the raven a question, not because it's actually part of its name. And it would be, you'd have to put double interrogative inflection to do that to the raven whose actual name, when said without any inflection, is Grip. You'd have to go, Grip? He did have a raven called Grip, and he loved it so much that when it died, he had it mounted. He had it mounted. And it's currently to be seen in the third floor rare books department of Philadelphia's Free Library. So that's an interesting day out for people. Karen?
Grip had followed Dickens back from the Tower of London, where he had gone to visit his friend Barnaby Rudge, Beefeater, who of course was later to be featured in his novel, Martin Chuzzlewit. Rudge was to successfully sue Dickens for getting his name wrong, and with the proceeds started a chain of deeply unpleasant restaurants, which he named Beefeater Inns. Now desperately poor...
Armando.
It is true that Beefeater Inns are deeply unpleasant.
I don't think I can give you a point merely for pointing out that there is a chain of restaurants called Beefeater Inns, which, in my opinion...
Bear in mind they are sponsoring tonight's programme.
are the finest culinary establishments that humanity has ever contrived on.
Yeah, thank you, David. So, now desperately poor, Charles Dickens moved to Scotland to be with other poor people. There he hit upon the idea of confusing everybody by calling his next book A Christmas Carol. This featured a lazy hypochondriac called Tiny Tim. Interestingly, if this kind of thing interests you, Dickens arrived at the name Tiny Tim after first considering Little Larry, Puny Pete and Small Sam.
Sean.
I might as well. One of those is true. Does it matter which? Puny Pete, Tiny... I've got they're called now. Tiny Larry.
Little Larry, Puny Pete and Small Sam.
And Mick the Midget.
Actually, he considered all three.
Right.
That's all true, that he considered Little Larry, Puny Pete and Small Sam. I think we can see the way the great man was thinking.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jack. So, at the end of that, Jack, you managed to smuggle only one truth past the rest of the panel, which is that Dickens' novel David Copperfield includes a reference to a kangaroo. It's the only one of his novels to do so. So, Jack, that means you've scored 1 point. Charles Dickens' works were banned during the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Not only were they considered by the Chinese to be the bourgeois ramblings of a decadent lackey, but they also caused 600 million of them to suffer seizures trying to say Oliver Twist. Right. Right, it's now the turn of Sean Locke. Sean's handled by the same management agency who put Jonathan Ross where he is today, watching a lot of daytime TV. Your subject, Sean, is the turkey, a large poultry bird, which is traditionally eaten as the main course at Christmas in much of the world or at Thanksgiving in the United States and Canada. Fingers on buzzers, the rest of you. Off you go, Sean.
Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat. Graham.
True.
Yes, there's no doubt that Christmas is coming and the goose is getting fat. In fact, that is point.
Sean,
Sorry. Yeah.
Sean, you haven't by mistake just done all true things about turkeys, have you?
No, but I've used some words that are true in sequence.
I knew they shouldn't have had you on the show.
I was trying to put a bit of a theme. I was trying to put a festive tone to the piece.
Goose is getting fat, and then there's something about an old man and a hat. But that's not my point. Goose is too fat, so it had no chance when the lean but plump turkey appeared on the outside lane of the Christmas dinner race. Because it is a race. Those jokes about turkeys not looking forward to Christmas are ignorant of the fact that turkeys have no fear. They are the Steven Seagal of the poultry world. Not because they are trained in kung fu, no. Because a small part of their brain is missing. King Charles I's favourite dwarf was encouraged to fight several bouts with a turkey. One of those traditions I feel we let go too easily.
Armando.
I'd like to think that's true.
Well, it is. Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
OK. Israel eats more turkey per head than any other country on earth. Fact.
Jack. I was alerted to the way Sean flagged up that.
It's true that they eat more turkey per head in Israel than any other country on earth. So, yes, well done, that's true. Carry on.
But in Turkey, they don't like turkey. It's called the American bird. And the people of Turkey resent their association with this ridiculous bird. And the turkey was never more ridiculous than walking to London from Norfolk in leather boots.
Walking to London in leather boots, I think they did.
Yes, yeah, absolutely right, they did. Pigs wore knitted boots with leather soles.
The longest turkey drove ever took place in 1810, when a French turkey farmer wanted to prove to Napoleon that the birds could march proudly alongside his army. They marched 600 miles from northern France to the Alps. Imagine, after a hard day's march, trying to sleep over the constant clucking and squawking of your new recruits. You expected a gobbling joke there, but only the male gobbles, and they weren't used for this purpose.
Armando.
Well, it's true, I was expecting a goblin joke, and I think it's true that only the male gobbles.
It is absolutely true that only the male gobbles.
Yeah.
The female turkey make gentle clucking and clicking sounds.
Sounds so dismissive. It sounds sweet. Clucking and clicking.
I don't think turkeys are sweet. I think they're ludicrous creatures. And I think one of the few things to recommend them is that they make an odd gobbling noise. And the turkeys that don't even do that, well, they're beneath contempt.
And therefore must die.
Well, I mean, they're only going to die. They're only brought into existence to die, weren't they? Delicious.
Happy Christmas.
According to research scientists at the University of Minnesota, 60% of people who prefer the lean white breast meat as opposed to the darker meat are more likely to stay in a stable relationship. Although, in my humble opinion, the best part is the dripping on toast on Boxing Day morning.
Jack.
That must be true, because you've just said, in your humble opinion.
But at this point, I can't say whether that is genuinely Sean's humble opinion. Only he can. Sean, is that genuinely your humble opinion?
No, I don't like it.
Right. In that case, I'm going to come round to your house on Christmas Day and make sure you don't eat any dripping.
Yeah.
No, it's actually, I'm lying. It's true. I love turkey dripping.
I don't know what that means now.
Where does that put me?
Well, the problem I have is I absolutely love turkey dripping. If I was on death row, my last meal would be turkey dripping.
Well,
That can be arranged.
You are absolutely in the perfect position to deny Jack a point there.
I know, but
and
I
now
like
just
turkey
because of
so
your...
much, I couldn't lie about it. I couldn't deny.
That's actually incredibly moving.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
But when it came to it, your love of turkey dripping mattered more than this show.
Yes.
But I'm not going to go on the radio and deny my love for turkey drippers. What have I become then?
It's fantastic. It's like the caviar of the turkey. It's like the purest essence of flavour and taste you can ever experience in your life.
Well, I think it's been established beyond doubt that you do like turkey dripping.
Yes.
And therefore I have to give Jack a point.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sean. And you only managed to smuggle one truth past the rest of the panel, Sean, which was that in Turkey, the turkey is called the American bird, which means, Sean, you've scored 1 point. Okay, it's now the turn of Armando Iannucci. Your subject, Armando, is Father Christmas, also known as Santa Claus or St. Nicholas, a figure who in most Western cultures is described as bringing gifts on Christmas Eve. Off you go, Armando.
Well, I was surprised by my research into Father Christmas to discover that not every country believes Santa comes down the chimney. In parts of Eastern Europe, he arrives in the post. And in Spain, he comes out the taps. That's why many Spanish... That's why many Spanish fathers, pretending to be Santa, end up with severe spinal injuries. If you shave Santa's beard off and tidy his hair, he looks like Martin McGuinness.
That would be true, wouldn't it?
I don't know, I don't think it's been done.
No.
I'm just guessing.
You know when those Spanish people hurt their backs coming out? Is that what they call tapas? I actually did think of it at the time, but didn't bother coming in with it. I rather wish I hadn't. But it is Christmas. I'm like a human cracker.
The great thing about a cracker joke, compared to this experience, is when you read a cracker joke, you don't then have to deal with the remorse of the person who wrote it.
Because if the joke was badly, there's always a plastic keyring.
Yes. Yeah. And there's the hat. I might be alone in this, but I always slightly judge people by how long they keep the hat on. No. The people who are quite keen to get rid of it early, I think of as vain and not fun.
I'm glad you said that. I thought you were going to have a go at the people who keep it on for quite some time.
No, I am one of those people. I keep it on.
Are you last? I'm one of the last people to take it off.
Yeah. Absolutely. I keep it on so long that when I take it off, it feels like it's still there. No, carry on.
The Dutch knew St. Nicholas as Sinterklaas, which is where we get Santa Claus from.
That's true. The Dutch did call him Sinterklaas.
That is true, and that is where we get Santa Claus from.
Yeah.
So, yep. Well done. That's the point.
Thank you.
Sinterklaas is believed to have been present at the Council of Nicaea in AD 325, at which the date of Christmas was fixed.
Graham.
Everybody knows that.
He is believed to have been present at the Council of Nicaea, and that is when they fixed the date of Christmas.
The council settled for Christmas Day. The names of Father Christmas's 6 reindeer are Rudolph, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Jonathan Ross and Russell Brand. Among the reindeer, Russell Brand and Jonathan Ross get up to all sorts of tricks, most of which are amusing, but some of which are unacceptable. Father Christmas lives in a place called Lapland, which is why he's frequently confused with Peter Stringfellow.
Jack.
Father Christmas is well documented. He lives in Lapland.
No, he doesn't. He lives in the North Pole.
Yeah. In 2001...
There are no reindeer in the North Pole.
No. There are his there. They're not normal reindeer, Jack. They can fly.
Yes. In 2001, a Mother Christmas sued a US store for $100,000 because she was sacked for having breasts. If you laid out the beard...
Sean.
I think that's probably true.
Yes, that is true. Yes.
Did she have breasts on display or something? Was that part of it?
No, I don't think so.
Was it like Santa's grotto? You come in, you get a present.
If you laid out the beards of all the world's Father Christmases end to end, it would make a rope stretching all the way to the sun. The rope would instantly catch fire, sending a ball of flame hurtling to the earth. The only man who could stop it would be Bruce Willis. It is no wonder then that research in New York stores found that only 1% of children were happy or exhilarated to meet Santa Claus, 82% were indifferent, and 16% were hesitant.
Sure.
I think that's probably true as well.
Yes, that is true. Yeah.
Every time I take my children, they hate it. They're terrified. They would rather have, like, root canal work done than go into Santa's grotto.
Maybe you take them to a grotto where there's a woman exposing herself.
Kids don't like it. They really don't like it.
My brother wouldn't have his stocking in his bedroom because he didn't like the idea of a strange man. Even a gift-bearing strange man.
Yeah. Whereas you did like the idea.
You're saying I was a flirt with Father Christmas?
I think you put the stockings on and waited for him. I think that's the truth of it. Standing on your bed with your hands on your hips. Two stockings on. Like this, you know those Emmanuel posters? With your back to the chimney.
Please carry on.
The original Santa Claus was a wild grey bear who would mark his territory by pooing on it and then squirting it with scent. The Santa droppings were distinctive brightly coloured cubes, which came to be known as presents or presents. And this is why we give brightly coloured presents to children, and why also, after 3 days, they're completely crap. Santa has more mail than any other fictional or divine entity.
That's probably true.
Yes, that is true. And in fact, Amanda was going to go on to say...
God and Sherlock Holmes come next. That's getting mail. However, unlike God and Sherlock Holmes, Santa Claus does exist.
True. The spirit of Christmas, that's true.
Yes, that is absolutely true. You get a point.
Is that you, therefore, definitively saying that God doesn't exist?
No, that Santa does exist.
Look, I'm very happy to say anything about God, but let's not get seriously blasphemous.
Yeah.
You know what Christmas is about? What we all believe in at Christmas is the magic man with the free stuff. So, Sean gets a point.
Yes.
And let's move on. Thank you, Armando. So, Armando, at the end of that round, you managed to smuggle no truths past the rest of the panel, which means you've scored no points. Which brings us to the final scores. In fourth place, with no points, we have Armando Iannucci. In third place, with 1 point, it's Jack D. In second place, with 3 points, it's Graham Garden. And in first place, with an unassailable 5 points, it's the winner of our Christmas special, Sean Locke. That's just about it, but before we go, a quick word about dogs. According to a recent survey, 3 out of 10 British dogs are given as Christmas gifts. But remember, a dog isn't just for Christmas. A large one can provide sandwiches right...
If you find this content useful and inspiring, please follow, like, and share to spread the good things to more people. Wishing you peace, confidence, and positive energy in life. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and see you in the next video.